Morning, morning, all. Morning, morning. Morning to Francis Macmillan. Good morning to His Excellency Nigel O'Connor, President of Pleasantville, and First Lady Mauricio Keegan. Pamela Moses, Annette Baird, good morning. Sarah Richards, Angela Kati. Morning, Carol. Joy Ragunanan, Jennifer Dorset, John Edwards. Morning, Carol Myers and Carol Bucco. Morning, Aline Lewis. Let's see who I have over on YouTube. Trevor Carter, good morning. Names coming up fast and furious. Point Kumana Sharon, good morning. Terrence Swan, Charmaine Richardson, Roxanne King, good morning. Ann Niles, Michelle Superwoman, good morning. See Michelle put good morning. Debunkers, you remind me of, was that the gentleman who was murdered recently? Kevon, I think. It was Yankers. We have the bunkers. Okay. Good morning. And Alpe Alain, good morning. Alberta Sampath, good morning. Shah, morning to you, the Patriot. Gaylan Jackson, morning. Gaylan J. Dimples. Lisa Atwater, good morning. Anon 001. Just jump in. Donna Wilcott, good morning. Anne Marie Solomon. Christopher Sylvester, good morning to you guys. Valerie Johnson, morning. Anton Batiste. If you'll find my eyes looking at it already, this is I overslept this morning with all this rain. Yeah. Almost didn't have a life. My bed was feeling really, really good this morning. So, yeah, forgive me. Henry Amsterdam, morning. Christopher Eastman, Felix Hospitalis, Clay Carrington. Sidena Kwashi, morning. Catherine Sucre, Betty James. Morning, Teresa, all the way from Canada. David Clark, Rena Jennings. Morning, Rena.
Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Oh, sleeping time. I was in the laboratory when somebody showed me him. Somebody said that I'm not today. The boss would take care of them. And in this crowd was singing loud, going to the convention. When we walk in big spin and ting, oh Lord, what a session. In the hand was a plan and he start to jam. He hit them bam, bam, bam. Somebody say you got to like the man, he have a touch of Eric William. Hallelujah. We ain't making no total mistake. Hallelujah. What the opposition get, they will take. Hallelujah. When I say okay, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Get all your room is sweeping this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. Hallelujah. Licks in the tail. Hallelujah. Great is the BNM. It shall prevail. Sweeping time. Sweeping time. Sweeping time. One nation is a one people today, a dynamic diversity. A party strong because all along we celebrate our plurality. Equality right across the board, everybody have a chance. That's why all around every place in town is long as we did the dance. We talking about the ultra-modern social infrastructure. Education become priority one on the national agenda. Hallelujah. We ain't making no dosage mistake. Hallelujah. So when them opposition get they go take. Hallelujah. And when I say for here, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Bring all your broom and sweep in this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. 50 years on this train. Hallelujah. Sweeping time. Sweeping time. Sweeping time. That's your groove now.
Sweeping time. I'm seeing some folks on YouTube, on Facebook, sorry, they're saying that they're having some problems with the audio. I don't know. People on YouTube, are you all hearing me well? Just let me know now. So I don't know if it is I may need to start over on the Facebook if that's the case. So just somebody on YouTube, just let me know if you're hearing well. All right, so Shai is saying yes. Right, so the people on Facebook, you're still having, it's still a bit fuzzy. Anybody on Facebook, you could just let me know anything. I'm seeing Pamela saying the music was skipping. Carol was saying that it was a bit fussy. Claudette is saying it's breaking up. Christopher was saying it's with the music. Okay, so you're all hearing me good now? Or am I breaking up too? Because if that's the case, I'll just have to start over the live on Facebook. Let's see. All right, so Laverne is saying she move over. Jennifer Dossett is saying it's sticking. I don't know what causing that though. All right, just now let me just start it over on Facebook then. All right, Carl is saying it's still breaking up. I don't know what causing that. Let me try it again. Yes. All right, so I'll just start over, right, folks? Right, not for the folks on YouTube. I'm just gonna do it over on Facebook. Don't know what's happening here, but just give me 1 sec. Maybe it's the internet. Make sure it's. Okay. That seems about right. Let's try that again. See. I hope that sorts out the problem. Yeah, so just bear with me, folks, on YouTube. And just wait for those guys to come back up on Facebook. Right. Meanwhile, right, so I'm seeing they're starting to come back on. I hope it's a little better now. Right, so anybody who's on YouTube, you'll let me know if it's any better, please. Alicia, and are you hearing me any better, or is it you're still having the same problem? Morning, Diane. Right, Alicia says it's better. Great. All right, so hopefully that would have solved the problem. Okay. Nice, wonderful. It's technology thing. All right, so Angie Sherry saying I'm fine on YouTube. All right, good. Right. So morning to Mother Tunapuna. Morning, Angie. If it is that you're on, I haven't seen you as yet. No, Angie usually comes on Facebook. So what's the time? 6:42. Good boy. Time flying. So let me just get into this one time. Right. So on this, the 25th day of July, 2023. So it's exactly 5 months for Christmas Day, but all the Christmas lovers. So Jack is back. Well, after looking at that meeting last night, I need to make an amendment to that. Jack is back again. You know, listening to Mr. Warner last night, right? And I know a couple of weeks ago I said I would hold off on speaking about Mr. Warner, if only out of respect for the fact that he was my political leader not so long ago. And I'm not going to focus on him only today, but last night's meeting was touted. Jack is back, and there was all this hype around this meeting. People were expecting. In fact, the media was promoting this meeting as wow, boy, this is the turning point in this election campaign. And then we had, I saw last night on the news, I think it was CNC3, where they had a reporter up there who was interviewing people as they were coming into the Center of Excellence, asking them how they feel about Jack being back. And people saying, yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah, Jack is the man. Jack is the boy. Some of these same hypocrites who had nothing good to say about the same Jack not so long ago. All of a sudden, Jack is the man. And, well, boy, after, as my partner man would say, they Uma a large Coca-Cola and a large popcorn for wasting my time for watching that whatever that was last night. I mean, I having worked with Mr. Warner for a couple of years, I am sorely disappointed. Not surprised, but sorely disappointed. Disappointed in his presentation last night, among other things. But looking at that whole frontline seating arrangement in that meeting last night, there were 3 things missing: an ambulance, a hearse, and about 10 wheelchairs. Yeah? I saw Mrs. Prasad Bisesa come into the meeting. She and her husband. Poor fellow. Gregory looked like he wanted to stay home and relax. But Mrs. Prasad Bisesa continues to drag out the poor man, because last night it was Gregory's turn to be the human crutch. If you all notice, within recent times, every time she has to walk any lengthy distance, not even a lengthy distance, a short distance, she needs to hold on to somebody's hand. The woman could barely walk. She could barely hold up for long, right? So we saw there's a video, and I don't know if it is that perhaps, I'm sure she would have seen it. The video with her walking with Gary Griffith, and she holding onto his hand. She could barely walk. Yeah, she trudging. Yeah, not walking, trudging, and trying to hide the fact that either she in pain or she just can't make. Last week, Wednesday, when she went to the parliament, she needed Urvashi Tiwari's assistance to mount the pavement. Last night, she hold on to Gregory so and trying to give the impression they're in love. And they holding hands. When the truth and in fact, she using poor Gregory as a prop. And he, poor fella, can't make. He can't walk, she can't walk, and so they go in. But you're using the man to pretend as if, yes, but Kamala, we make you out a long time. You're not able. Imagine, you're younger than Dr. Rowley. And when you see Dr. Rowley sprinted, Dr. Rowley moving like if he's a 40-something-year-old. And poor you, struggling. But you wouldn't throw in the towel. Well, we don't want you to throw in the towel, madam. You stay right there. You continue to do what it is that you're doing. Allow these people to continue to use and abuse you. Impression that you're able. But we saw you're not able. They needed, that woman should have come in. Kamala needed a wheelchair last night. Clearly. The amount of hands that she normally shakes and face she needs to touch wasn't happening last night. Even to sit down was a struggle for Kamala. So when everybody else, when Jack talking and, everybody else would get up, even Jolene John and clap, she wasn't getting up. She couldn't. It was clear that she couldn't. When she arrived and just to sit down, she needed to hold on to people to sit down to. But all you continue to prop her up. Well, go ahead. Keep her right there. Yeah? Keep her right there. But I comment to her speech just now. There were certain things that were noted last night. Well, let me speak to Mr. Warner first, right? I know there are some people who will be upset. Persons from the ILP. But it is what it is. So, you can see Mr. Warner is no longer in his prime. Clearly, I haven't spoken to Mr. Warner in a couple of years. I think the last time he and I would have had a conversation was at an All Fours line at the home of Rekha Ramjit, and that might have been pre-COVID. If memories, it would have been pre-COVID. So it's been a while. So in 2020 when he decided that he wanted to contest Lupino Bone West, and they were calling in the troops. I said, I out of that, you know. I said, I'm tell you something. I ain't no fool. Mr. Warner cannot win that seat. So all you're just wasting time and resources. But if he thinks he could do it, I said, but if you look at the demographics of that particular constituency, the areas where the majority of the votes will be populated, they don't need anything from Mr. Warner. There is nothing that he could promise that could entice these people to give him their vote. And Mr. Warner at that time was talking things about building some library in Lupino Bone West and some other, that's a market and some other things. I'm saying these things will not appeal to these people. He will not get their vote. And so said, so done. But see, then I was not part of the campaign, and the people who used to, Rika used to call me, hey, when you coming to work with us, I said, yeah, come in, I'll let you know. But I knew that was an exercise in futility. So what's the point of me coming there? And at that point in time, I had already moved on from the ILP, as had a lot of them. But, some people have ulterior motives. Not all of them, but there were those with their ulterior motives. But you think, yeah, well, Jacob felt out money. And they decided to go back. And true to form, Mr. Warner would have lost the election. And so the phenomena that is Jack Warner, unfortunately, is no longer there. And oh, how the mighty has fallen. When I looked at Mr. Warner's presentation last night, that this man who was once revered worldwide, FIFA vice president, this man who once had Barack Obama and the likes of Prince William and others groveling at his feet, and they wanted the World Cup to be hosted in their respective countries, right? This man who dined with kings and princes and presidents, royalty, all over the world. This man who has traveled to over 170-something countries, has found himself in a situation now where he's being used as window dressing, as a prop for Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC, right? And when you listen to some of Mr. Warner's past speeches and so on, last night, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? That was like Amateur Night at the Hawk and Spit, part 2. You expected, and you see, and I think last night would have shown Gary Griffith that he made a colossal mistake. Because this third constituency that he talks about, the fence sitters, those who are neither PNM nor UNC, who are neither fish nor fowl, and who make a decision as to who they're going to support an election day based on issues. I am certain they were not impressed by any of the speakers last night, one of whom was not Gary Griffith, and I commented that just now. So to hear Mr. Warner come up on the stage and say, okay, well, let me see what he's going to say. And your speech, as brief as it was, chose to go down the road of Anil Roberts and his nastiness, talking about small pin. You don't know if Stuart Young is small pin, young pin, street pin. Really? And Anil Roberts, they're laughing like a big clown, like a hyena. He and this next one, Damian Lyda, beside themselves. Yeah? Then they come in to talk about Marvin Gonzalez and referring to Mr. Gonzalez as who? Because again, the nastiness of Anil Roberts calling Mr. Gonzalez Minister of Man, implying that the man is gay and the man and his family and so on. Yeah, but you come on national TV to talk that talk, so everybody know you watch Douglas politics, and you expect people to gravitate to you based on that. Politics of the gutter. That is the kind of nastiness that you will only hear on a UNC platform. And people like Diego Martin supposed to be motivated to vote for that. And I think Gary is quickly learning that he made a very big mistake. Because nothing of substance was said last night, from David Naked to Khadija Amin, come down the line. None of them. This is a local government election, but you're not hearing anything about local government. If you're looking to get information as to what local government reform is, what it is going to look like, and what you can expect as a Burgess after August the 14th, certainly a UNC meeting is not the place you want to look for that information. You will not get it. PNM platforms, however, it is different. You're hearing it there. So most of the information that the population currently knows about what local government reform is going to look like would have come from a PNM platform and PNM meetings, where you have more serious issues being discussed, rather than nonsense about small pin and Stuart Young need to give a first class ticket to his stepdaughter and her mother for them to go to Miami and all kind of nonsense. Politics have become in 2023. Nobody ain't saying no yet kind interspersed with a little bit of pecan, but nah boy. Last night was a real circus. From start to finish, a circus. Let me tell you, the novelty of Jack is back waned last night. So that was a one-day wonder. And that is it. This Jack is back is not going to hold, and it certainly is not going to carry them through to August 14th. The Jack effect is sorely diminished. Let me put it that way. Jack's political currency is devalued. Yeah? Greatly devalued. The Jack Warner of 10 years ago and 13 years ago in 2010 is not the Jack Warner of today. Certainly not. Because if Mr. Warner couldn't use this Jack effect for any significant headway by the ILP. The ILP did well in 2013 for the first election that they contested, which was the local election in October of 2013, where the party would have gotten 104,000 votes. But very few councillors, and we were able to get a few aldermen, and that was about it. But nothing else after that, the party just waned. Because Mr. Warner's focus changed from building a new party to getting rid of Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. I can tell you that because at one point in time, the discussions within the ILP camp was, okay, how are we going to build a new party? Mr. Warner used to tell us he's building a party for the next generation. He's creating this party, a clean slate, and this is what he wants to do. This is how we're going to do it. And then all of a sudden, the trajectory changed and it became Kamla, UNC. We had to get rid of Kamla. We had to get rid of the UNC. And that is what it was. And so he was given direction to those of us who were on the Sunshine Hour and the other radio programs. This is what the focus must be. This is the information. Deal with that. And that is what it became. And so the ILP lost its moorings very early, and that is why the party struggled after that. Unfortunately, our core base was UNC supporters who were disenchanted with how Mr. Warner was treated, particularly in Chaguanas West, where Mr. Warner used to be helping everybody. People used to come from far and wide, not even in Chaguanas West. On a Saturday morning, when Mr. Warner's office day and you go there, every seat full of people waiting outside to see Jack. Right? And then when it is, he formed the ILP, remember he had indicated the intention was to make a point at first and then to go back into the UNC. And when Kamla rejected him, then he decided, okay, we're going to create something new. And that is why a lot of young people gravitated to the ILP, because it was a clean slate. He created something that he was going to pass on for this new breed of politicians to run with. And when that focus changed, the ILP's fortunes changed as well. So in 2015, why I think Mr. Warner decided to run from Chaguanas West to Chaguanas East, because he knew there was no longer any love. That the UNC faithful who voted for him in 2013 in the by-election only did so on the belief that he was going to take the ILP back into the UNC, which he said he's going to do last night. But after that, when they realized that was not the trajectory, all of a sudden, the nastiest of things they had to say about Mr. Warner. Yeah, he's an Imakaram, this, that. No matter some of them who he helped, gave money to, these ungrateful bastards who went back to the UNC. But that was partly, we expected that, because they have no scruples, no shame. They used and abused Jack Warner. And when they were done with him, cast him aside. All kind of things to say about him. So imagine my surprise last night to see Mr. Warner sitting next to Rudal Munilal after the meeting. The same Rudal Munilal who he told us was among the cohort of persons who couldn't afford 2 doubles and a red solo prior to the election of 2010. But today, the pocket deep. All of the revelations that were made 2014, 2015. Those of us like myself who gave up our time for a year and a half, from March of 2014 to September of 2015. And let me just say it, morning and evening on the sunshine hour, I wasn't paid. I can tell you that. I subsequently learned that other members of the team would have been compensated, but I did it as a labor of love. So I'm cutting into my time when I should be meeting with my clients and doing my work, because I genuinely believe, as I still do, that the UNC is no good for this country in government. Even in opposition, they know damn good. And I was committed to getting rid of them by any means necessary. And that is what we did. So listening and seeing Mr. Warner now walk back into the UNC fold. Well, let me not say, I'm not disappointed from the perspective of what was done between 2014 to 2015, right? Because to repeat Mr. Warner's words on the night of September 7, 2015, mission accomplished. I did what I set out to do. That is what he said. Notwithstanding the fact that the ILP made no headway and won no seats, he was still happy with the outcome because he had gotten rid of Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the cabal, and the UNC from government. But today, he's prepared to walk back in, and I would ask Mr. Warner, what has changed? How has Kamla Persad-Bissessar changed between 2015 to now? What has the UNC done between 2015 to now to demonstrate to the population that they could do a better job in 2025 to 2030 than they did 2010 to 2015? Look at some of the characters that they have within their ranks now sitting in the parliament were not there from 2010 to 2015. In fact, they replaced the bad with the worse. People like Anal Ram, who was fired from not one but two public utility companies, is today sitting in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago with hopes that should they win in 2025, he would become the next Minister of Public Utilities. This is the Twilight Zone? Seriously? And Mr. Warner is ready to throw his lot into that to what? You remove the nastiness and you want to give us nastiness squared? People like Ravi Ratiram? Really? Who has aspirations to become the next leader of the UNC? If you all listen to Mrs. Persad-Bissessar last night and another Monday night forum, she keeps talking about handing over the party to the children of the UNC. Those are the children of the UNC. People like those two that I just mentioned. Saddam Hussein, who loves to preach integrity and probity and transparency, but lies with impunity, right? He has no issue with lying just to promote his cause. And you know the UNC loves to promote, they love to make records, apart from the fact that they hold the record for the most corrupt party ever to pass through this country. But I would not be surprised if, God forbid, you all fail to do what it is you had to do to show up at the polls in 2025 and they get back into power, that Saddam Hussein would be made the Attorney General, just so they could say the youngest ever Attorney General in the country's history came from the UNC. Again, they're about novelty. And what happens when the novelty wears off? An upstart like Saddam Hussein. Julian John was waxing poetic last night in her defense of Saddam Hussein, telling Dr. Rowley, mind your blasted business. Mind your damn business. Because he called Saddam Hussein a little boy. She vex. But you have no issue with Jack Warner likening Kamla Persad-Bissessar to Nelson Mandela and to calling Kamla the Nelson Mandela of Trinidad and Tobago politics. Nah, man, Mr. Warner. You need to do better than that. As somebody who would have met with Nelson Mandela, and those of us who know Nelson Mandela's history, even if you don't know you don't know it in its entirety, that was an insult to the highest degree of Nelson Mandela. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is no Nelson Mandela. Under no circumstance whatsoever should she ever be likened to somebody like Nelson Mandela, especially when you have the audacity and the temerity to come and tell Camille Robertson Regis that she has the name of her slave master, calling Dr. Rowley Oreo black man, blank man. This nonsense. There's a clip, I'll try and find it, where she gave a speech and telling the UNC faithful that if all of the East Indians vote for the UNC, there's no way that the PNM could get 50% of the vote. Really, Mr. Warner? You really went there? You really went there. And I am saying to all Afrocentric persons in this country, right, who always love to talk about Afrocentrism, the UNC needs to pay for that comment that Mr. Warner made. There is no way. That is not just an insult to Nelson Mandela and his family and his memory, but to every person of African descent. The Nelson Mandela Trinidad and Tobago politics. How? Why didn't you say the Mahatma Gandhi? Why? But you really went there. You really went there. And then he went further to talk about the ILP. You noticed last night when Mrs. Pasabi says, come on, UNC massive, NTA massive, no ILP massive. Why is that? Whole time last night, NTA this, UNC that, but I thought you entered into a partnership and accommodation, a coalition with the NTA, the ILP, and the MND. So what happened to the ILP and the MND? No massive. So to listen to Mr. Warner last night talking about he wore a yellow shirt, but he didn't wear a yellow shirt with the UNC monogram because he doesn't feel that he has earned the right to do that yet. And once he earns that right, then he will disband the ILP because the ILP should be integrated into the UNC. Now, Mr. Warner, as a former school teacher, you're supposed to know the difference between past tense and future tense. Okay? And last night you were talking in past tense when you said that. Because the ILP has already been disbanded. There is no ILP. In fact, when Mr. Warner decided to throw his lot in with the UNC once again, the ILP was integrated into the UNC because right now the ILP is a party of one, Jack Warner. There is no ILP and has not been an ILP since 2020 or even before that. Right? Rekha Ramjet resigned as political leader of the ILP right after, I think, Mr. Warner lost in 2020. And that was just the last vestiges of ILP. Everybody else has gone their separate ways. Who went back to the UNC, who went back to PNM, who went to whichever other party. There has not been, so there's this show and this charade about the ILP and the ILP will disband it. There is no ILP to disband, sir. That happened a long time ago. You talking past tense. So him going back, as I said, that was the ILP integrated into the UNC. And I can speak to that. There is no ILP. So let's talk about, they're trying to give this impression, all these small parties coming together. Like they forget there are those of us out there who know, who were in the belly of the beast, and we know. So you're fooling nobody with that. You're not fooling nobody with that. There no support from that side. A lot of the people who were in the ILP left long time and went from whence they came, including myself. I have been back in the fold of the PNM. In fact, I used to always say, even while I was with ILP, I was a hybrid avocado, green on the outside but red on the inside. The ILP was a means to an end, and as I say, I sit before you now because of the opportunities presented to me in the ILP to be on radio. And of course, I'm not hypocritical. I owe Mr. Warner a debt of gratitude for that because he gave me the opportunity to be on radio, and we saw how things progressed from there. But that's about it. But this Jack is back. It was the same thing we said in 2015 in the general election. Had no impact. In 2016, the local election, when the ILP decided to contest the Shogunas Borough Corporation, and everywhere we went was, Jack is back. Jack is back. Yeah, man, Jack is the man. Not a damn seat. How much votes we got in total? Probably 160 something votes, if memory serves me correctly. Nothing of substance. Or was it 8 something? But no set of votes. And the mantra was, Jack is back. Every time you go walk in and you go by a house, yeah, Jack is back. When Mr. Warner come to walk with the candidate, Jack is back. Jack. It had no impact. It had no impact in 2020, right? When he contested Lupino Bonner West, and it will have no impact now. So as I said, that Jack is back effect, the novelty of Jack is back, that waned since last night. When the meeting done, that done too. And then last night they want to boast, look at numbers, look at people. How much people? Will you count? When you look in the comments under the UNC page. Yeah, boy, PNM running scared, Rowley scared, all them PNM and them, what you see, the trolls coming on the live, they frightened. Frightened for what? The PNM had over 5,000 people in Napa a few weeks ago when they had the campaign launch. And certain, you all didn't have 5,000 people there last night. So who was scared? Apparently, you all were the scared ones when you all saw what is happening. That's why your leader had to come on the platform to talk about Foster come and say it's over 5,000 people, but the Napa hall could only hold 1,500 if you Google it. Foster come and said 1,200 inside. She says 1,500 it could hold. Fine. And outside. So the amount of people they had last night in that hall could have fit under one of the tents that the PNM had at Napa. One of the tents outside. But when they begin up, they say, oh, if you see people, cut people. And if they had no set a red band maxi. Yeah, that yellow band maxi. Blue band maxi. Brown band maxi. They are no red. So the people who come from Laukata tell Paro that Jolene John bring. She get them passage and tell them come through. Or they travel and stop out by the lights and walk in. We don't want us no set a maxi because for them to see we bring people from all over. That's exactly what you all did. I was not impressed. And when you see the camera spanning the crowd, people inside is like, what are you really doing here, boy? Them tell me this thing going on finished by 7:30. Man, look at the time. People in their phone, they're disinterested. When you look at the expression on people's faces, like they weren't impressed. Kamala talking and the camera spanning and people looking like they want to sleep. They're tired. This meeting is not what they expected. Poor Mr. Warner. The age has finally caught up with him. Struggling. But you gave a speech last night of no substance. Eh? That was to motivate who? How you talking, you calling Stuart Young small pen motivating anybody to vote for the UNC? You referring to Marvin Gonzalez as who? And oh, sorry. I make a mistake. Him. Again, amateur night at the Hawk and Spit. Really? That was not all force competition that you were at, sir. This was a public meeting that you all televised and had on radio and people listening. And persons who are undecided and trying to say, well, okay, well, let me see what they come in with tonight so I can make up my mind. I'm sure there were some people who, after Jack speak, turn off the TV. Because that was a colossal disappointment. It's like Kamala Persad-Bissessar promising, after the election, I'm going to bring an avalanche of lawsuits against Jack Warner. And all we got was a snowflake. One lawsuit you bring. So all the other things that Jack said about you, 2014, 2015 is now forgiven. Water under the bridge. When he called you a lesbian and spoke about, made allegations with respect to you having extramarital affairs with Rishmi Ramnarayan, and that is why she got the position at SIA. You forgave Jack for that, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar? The allegation that he made that you received 2 checks totaling $8 million to facilitate Section 34, for which you didn't sue him. You forgive him for that? That is what, under the bridge too? Yeah? Yesterday was yesterday and today is today. When you talk about you having a monkey on your back, which is Grey Goose, you forgiven him for that too? You weren't willing to forgive then, in 2013, on the night of the local election. The green man gone. Well, last night the green man come back. Yeah? The green man come back. Only last night he wasn't green. Well, he's still green, but temporarily, until he decides to disband the Green Party, which has already been disbanded. So this was the big show. So Mr. Warner last night referenced the threesome, not the trio, that he, Gary, and Kamala, threesome. I wonder if that was not a Freudian slip or was it deliberate? I wonder, right? But last night was no threesome because Gary didn't talk. Last night was a twosome because apparently Gary forgot to walk with one thing blue, the Viagra. Yeah? So last night he was impotent. So Kamala tell him, no play for you tonight. Tonight is just me and Jack. You had to sit down in the audience and play voyeur. Yeah? You had to watch tonight. Yeah, watch me and Jack. No play for you. Poor Gary. The poor soul put out, every time Gary Griffith appeared on TV, and he loved to be on TV and radio, eh? Poor soul. He always had to go on his Facebook page and announce it. Good evening. Tomorrow morning, I will be on this radio station. I'll be on that TV station. Right. So look out for me. Well, no different. He put up a big advertisement on his Facebook page. Meeting at Center of Excellence, and at the bottom it says, addressed by the political leader of the NTA. So he went there expecting last night to give a speech. Where the speech is, Gary? We still waiting. No speech. This big launch of the threesome ended up a twosome. And poor you one some had to sit down in the audience and watch. And watch Jack and Kamla. What did that do to Gary Griffith's ego last night? That you bring out your people, the few of them, hoping that they would hear you speak, and you come there to flex your muscle. No flexing last night for you. Yeah. Poor boy. Poor Gary. I don't know how we're going to deal with that, because when you looked at his facial expression, and I'm sure, I can tell you this morning, Gary Griffith is a disappointed man. Because everybody asked him, well, how come Gary didn't speak? I was wondering the same thing. I said, but okay, did I miss his speech? Did he speak at the start? Because I didn't look at the meeting from the start. What went on here? It was a reasonable expectation that Gary Griffith would have spoken last night. But you know why he didn't speak? Because Jolene John and David Nackett refused to share a stage with Gary Griffith. You see, Jolene John is against stand your ground. Jolene John realizes that the cockroach talk will not help on the East-West corridor. And she has no love for Gary Griffith. She and Nackett have no love for Gary for that cockroach talk when he was Commissioner of Police. And so last night was a compromise. Well, they want me to talk, and this is Jolene, no problem. But I'm not sharing no stage with Gary. So all is not well in the House of the Rising Sun, as they want to give you the impression. So you will never see Jolene and Nackett talking on a stage with Gary Griffith. They are diametrically opposed. This is just an accommodation of convenience, to get rid of Rowley or to put a curtail on the PNM in the local election, which they hope would give them some momentum going into 2025, but also give Kamla Persad-Bissessar a lifeline she so desperately needs. Because right now, there is plotting taking place in the House of the Rising Sun to have an internal election in September. That if it is they don't get a good showing in this August 14 election, Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is going to be challenged for the leadership. And not by persons that you would think. Yeah? If you notice, there were certain people who were noticeably absent last night in the lineup. Deliberately, they were not present. Persons who are feeling sidelined. Anybody notice Marshall Walker there last night? Where was Dinesh Rambali? Did you see him? Where was Rushton Parry? Where were these folks? There is dissent and dissatisfaction within the House of the Rising Sun. And so all this prop, they needed Jack to give them a fillip. They needed Jack to get them a boost because they realized they were waning. They're seeing how the PNM supporters are coming out to the meetings. But again, PNM people do not become complacent. Crowds do not win votes. Crowds do not win elections, right? Votes win elections. So don't come out in the meeting and you want to wave flag and clap and wind down the place. And then on August 14th, I ain't had time for that now. Nah, I ain't to vote now. No. You need to see this all the way through. So that is why last night in the comments, Rowley scared and the PNM frightened. Frightened of what? That all of you all had to be scrambling together to come to bring down the PNM? That all they say is so corrupt? And the worst government in history? If this is the worst government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, then why one party can bring them down? I listened to on the news last night, Ansel Roger and Izette and the rest of them. They planning to have some discussion with Kamla about minimum wage and the cost of living and all. Listen, and people continue to support these men. They have no morals, no nothing about them. It's just we're convenient, we jump so. The last time Ole went and sat down with Kamla, Roger, like your memory short. The last time you sat down with Kamla to present proposals and to present perspectives on certain things was in 2018 when you went to talk about the Petrotrin refinery, to share with them your proposal to bid for the refinery. And it's the same Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC who hit only a 649 and say, why you only bidding for the refinery? Go for the whole hog. Go big or go home. Right? That's what she tell you. Bid for the entire Petrotrin, not just the refinery, the non-core assets as well. So you went in there with a plan and a proposal to go after the refinery and take chain up from Kamla and the UNC, and then realize what it is they did. That they tell all you to go brave and bid for everything because they know that the government would not have taken you seriously if you bid for the entire, for all of Petrotrin, because the non-core assets were not up for sale. But you went and take that chain up from Kamla Persad Bissessar. And then what happened? After the government come now and said, look, we really want to work with Ole. We want to give Ole the refinery. You see the proposal Ole come with here, proposing to pay us. First of all, the non-core assets are not available for sale. So take that out of the equation. It is the refinery that is up for sale, and you all are offering us 700 million upfront. We're not going to put that burden on you all, because we don't want Ole to go and have to take loan for 700 million. And then when you start operations now, all of the money that you're making have to be going into paying debt. And you don't have money to pay salaries, you don't have money to pay any of your other operating costs, and then the whole arrangement failed. So we will give you a 3-year moratorium. We're giving you the refinery. We will take the 700 million, but we're giving you a 3-year moratorium. Make your money, deal with your teething problems, sort out. So for that first 3 years, you don't have to pay us nothing. All the money that you make, that the refinery make in that time, is for you to sort out all your sort outs. Fix whatever need to fix, pay what you need to pay, so that at the end of 3 years, you iron out all the kinks. And now when you start to make a profit, you can start paying us back, and we give you 10 years to pay us back. 10 years. So you can pay us back from the money that the refinery making, instead of you having to go and borrow all of this set of money. And again, the refinery saddled with debt. And even that, Roger, and they couldn't come up to scratch with. They couldn't come up to scratch with that. The government counter offer and give you something better, and they couldn't fix. But the same when the government did that, the same Kamla Persad Bissessar and the UNC come with 10 questions. They want to know on what basis all they get and what experience all they have to run things and all of that. After they tell all they go and bid for it, bid for the whole company. Come and hit you a 180-degree turn and questioning everything, and they're not supporting that and do not sell the assets. And when we come back into power and all of that. But the same Roger today and the same Anizet want to run back to Kamla Persad Bissessar to say, well, they want to sit down and have talks. The other day for Labor Day, I ain't telling all who to vote for, but I'm telling all who not to vote for. And Roger? And always okay about the poor and the working class. Is your monthly pay reflective of that? It's just like PSA and the backdoor president living high off the hog of our people union dues every month. Driving big car, collecting big salary, but pretending all this okay about the working class in this country, riding people back, living in the lap of luxury. Yeah? But now you want to go back and sit down and go vote with the UNC, and you have a political party, the MSJ. Why ain't going and sit down with David Abdullah? Is Mr. Abdullah in support of you all going and sit down and have talks with Kamla Persad Bissessar so she could hit all 649 again and chin up all that? And give the impression, well, we have the support of the union? Really? All is so dumb? And this is what we could, and this is the leadership. This is the leadership that wants to put themselves as alternative to the PNM. That is the alternative. The government in waiting. You all didn't learn all your lesson from 2010 to 2015. But you all want to come back with that nonsense again. Poor Gary. Let me come back to Gary. So, right? Let me see if I get this here. And I know I didn't see Fuad Khan last night. He was supposed to be there too. I don't know if it is he was in the audience, if he was hiding down in the back. But he has been saying, well, if Gary and Jack could swallow it, then I can too. IKHAN. I see Gassan Youssef was in the crowd last night. He supported NTA. He was there too. Let me get this here. Let me pull up. Right, just now. Give me 1 sec. Let me get Gassan here. But Gary, you bounce your head, yes? And you know what you do. But we ain't complaining. We got it. Because it seems not everybody in the NTA is supporting this accommodation between the UNC and, right. Yes. So this is Ghassan Youssef posting on his Facebook page one day ago. Jack Warner was a UNC from day one. He had a falling out with them, and now it seems he went back there. Besides Jack of 2023, certainly is not the Jack of 2010. He's almost a spent force. Let's not give him more value than he deserves. Any question about Jack should be directed to the proper quarters. Certainly not Gary and the NTA. So who it should be directed to? As far as the ILP is concerned, the last time I checked, one Rekha Ramjit is the leader of the party, and it seems she's doing some ramaging in the courts. Nowhere is seen on the political scene and seen. On the political screen and seen. So Ghassan not supporting that. Ghassan Youssef was, of course, the mayor of Arima between 2010 to 2013, when in the 2010 local government election, the UNC would have swept the Arima Corporation, save for one seat, where Anthony Garcia was the lone councillor. Yeah, and they had a time for that 3 years. And in just 3 years, they lost the corporation. They also got Diego Martin in 2010. Yeah, because people were caught up in Jack and Kamla. Something new. Yeah, those of you all, well, it's something new, let me try it. And if it don't work, we could always go back. All who got caught up in that euphoria, that nonsense, and went and gave them your vote in 2010 because they bring a few people of integrity, or who you thought had integrity, to fool all you. People like Timothy Hamel-Smith, people like Vernon Delima. It's interesting. They're talking about house break-ins and home invasions and all of that, and you need to stand your ground. Yeah? But it was under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, I believe it was in 2014, that Vernon Delima, the man who, along with Timothy Hamel-Smith, went all the way to Malaysia to get information on Kaldahar brother-in-law. So they could come and say Kaldahar brother-in-law was one of the directors on Sunway Corporation, which was one of the big Chinese companies that was doing work for the government under the Manning time, 2009, 2010, in the construction of Napa and Sapa and all of these things. They went all the way to Malaysia. Vernon Delima, right, noted attorney. Where is he today? I believe he has migrated. Why? Because in 2014, he and his wife were the victims of a home invasion where his wife was almost beaten to within an inch of her life. And in fact, he indicated that the men who committed the act told him, tonight, we're going and kill you. All you're going and dead tonight. All you're going and dead tonight. Same Vernon Delima, under the same Kamla Prasad Bisesa. I can't remember if Gary Griffith was Minister of National Security then, but they know all about how to deal with the crime problem and home invasions. And well, Mrs. Delima didn't last long after that. Yeah? She ended up passing on because the beating was really terrible. When they saw pictures of the woman's face, he come downstairs only to find the wife lie down, and they were going to kill her. Again, the home invaders told them, all you're going on dead tonight in upscale Cascade. You didn't have the answer to that then. What did they say to Mr. Delima? That he didn't have confidence in them. Hence the reason he migrated. I think he went to Canada. But he helped put them into office in 2010 to 2015. And what? They failed to be able to protect him and his wife. But today, they have all of the answers. How to fix crime in this country and the answer to home invasion. So last night, Prasad Bisesa waxing poetic with quoting scripture, Exodus. Yeah? Using scripture to support stand your ground. Was the scripture she used by Exodus 22:2 or something? So that talk about if somebody, if a bandit or if a thief breaks into your home and he's injured or you kill him, the householder, the homeowner is not to be held liable. So you come now to quote scripture, right? You are a big Hindu, but come in with the Bible to say the Bible support stand your ground. So the Gita does support stand your ground. The Quran does support stand your ground. And whatever other holy book, you couldn't find nothing in them book. Your book, you couldn't find nothing in there to support stand your ground, but you want to come with the Bible. Prasad Bisesa, be warned, right? God is not to be mocked. Eh? You see when all they're trying to use scripture to come and support your nonsense, all of the Christians in that party, one Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the Lord don't play so, eh? Right? He not in this. He not in that. He certainly is not in that UNC, that mess that all they're calling a party. He ain't supporting that, right? It have all kind of nastiness taking place in that party that is also condemned in the very same holy book. So when you want to quote scripture, Bible, when you want to quote chapter and verse, just remember, it have other chapters in that book and other verses in that book that condemns certain things that taken place in your party. So now, as Fitzgerald Hines say, you want to give me a little bit of the thing. Eh? You give me half the story and chinks in with the rest. No. Don't use the Bible conveniently for your folly and your foolishness, madam. No. Know your place, right? What is your religion? Have you converted? Are you now a Christian? Because I find out of late, quoting liberally from the Bible. But please tell us, the holy book, your holy book, madam, for the religion to which you subscribe, is there anything in there that talks about stand your ground? Nothing there? Okay, look. So let me get to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. She said a lot last night, right? After she was finally able to make her way up on stage. With assistance, of course. She said a lot. But no, before I get to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, let me tell you something, right? All of you all who plan to sit on your laurels and not go and vote, the UNC ain't play. They not play. They're going all out in this election. Because as I said before, this election is going to make or break Kamala Prasad Bisesa. This election, she is dependent on to get a lifeline for 2025. And as I told you all earlier, there are plans afoot to hold a palace coup come September to try and get rid of her and install somebody new. You have people like Ratman, who have aspirations of becoming the next leader of the UNC, Ravi Ratiram. And he has his cabal that he's putting together. Okay? You all know what Ravi Ratiram is accused of. Imagine somebody like that. Well, maybe it would be a good thing if he becomes the leader of the UNC. Maybe. Yeah? Because he just as bad or even worse than his political leader. But I understand there are about 2 separate cabals. And she now has the new cabal, which comprises Anil Ram, Ravi Ratiram, this guy, the princess from Princestown, Saddam Hussein. And then you have those on the sidelines who have been ostracized, like Anita Haynes. She followed of favor. Khadija Amin is a part of that Kamala's new cabal as well. And then you have people who, behind the scenes, who all you figure have exited politics, but is still very much there. Tim Gopi Singh, right? Tim Gopi Singh is the man in charge of the money for the UNC. Yes. And he has, I tell all already, do not be fooled by these people. All of them who say they exit politics like Gopi Singh and Rambachan, go on their Facebook page and read the things that they put in out there. They're still very much involved in the politics. Now, whether or not Mrs. Prasad Bisesa would bring them back as ministers, should she win in 2025, or give them positions as ambassadors and so on. But we know what happened the last time Suraj Rambachan served as an ambassador in Brazil. For you know, read the Scott Jog report, right? Be very careful. So let me tell you the extent to which they have gone. If all you, and you, some of you listening here, no, all you had to get pong this morning. But let me pull it up. Back in February, when I was summarily dismissed from 91.9, they come and give all kind of cock and bull story about the reason, from the start. They didn't want to say what it was. Then they come and say, based on what I understand was said on Aisha's show, that it had to do with me not playing ads, and the companies that were advertising, that they listened to the radio station and they realized that the ads weren't played and they were upset and all kind of nonsense. Really? So you're trying to, really? Yeah, so they listened to everything and they didn't hear the ad playing this or whatever as the case may be, right? And you all may recall, January, February was level ads. I mean, the morning show went to the dogs. In the first hour, you have 16 minutes of talk. And then the rest is the next 44 minutes is ads. And then you come back in the second hour and you probably have maybe 24 minutes of talk and then it's ads. No problem with that. That is how the radio station makes its money. But they could have arranged their affairs in such a way as to provide, because this is talk radio. And people used to be messaging me to ask me if this is not the Titans of Democracy, but this is now the something about the advertisements. I forget the name they used, but people were complaining about the amount of ads. That good. The station was getting ads because it's popular. They have a lot of listeners and a lot of supporters. And how they sell ads on that radio station is based on the number of views that they get on YouTube and the number of views that they get on Facebook. So when they go to companies to get them to come and advertise on 91.9, they would show them, well, look how much people be viewing this show and look how many views they get with this show, right? And the total amount of views that they get for the month. So the advertisers see, well, okay, yeah, this is a station. It's not just on air. So it's not just airwaves. People viewing. So you have people seeing our ads on Facebook, seeing our ads on YouTube, and they decide to advertise with them, right? But they come and give all of that cock and bull story. Then you heard Aisha say, well, they didn't fire him. He just on a break or some kind of nonsense. All kind of different excuses they give. Up to now, management and tell me nothing. Eh? But we all saw where this was headed. And I told you all that the UNC had a hand in my departure. That they find out they were getting too much licks. That I was jamming them too much. And at the time, they were, well, I think they still are, broadcasting the Monday Night Forum on 91.9, right? So when I come on a Tuesday, what I used to do, having listened to the Monday Night Forum, I would take note of certain things, and then we would pull up the meeting on YouTube, and I would ask Bruce to play back certain things, and I would speak on it. And every time we did that, I would call Bruce right after and cuss him out. What are they doing? Well, they can't be doing that. The people paying the money to run the program on the station, and we can't be doing that. I ain't saying all they can't talk, but all they can't play back the people thing and whatnot and stuff, right? So we were censured. Well, they can't do this and can't do that. I saw the road that they were going down, and I said to Bruce, the day them come and tell me I can't talk about the UNC, I gonna know. I walk in. I said, because remember, this is not how I earn my living, right? Because for years I was on that radio doing things for free. When they send and call me to come on the Titans of Democracy, and I told I say, well, I'm not a morning person, no. You see this get up early thing? I do like to get up early. I don't leave my house early, right? Because my profession is such that I could leave home 12 o'clock. As a matter of fact, I don't even need to work for the month. At the end of the day, I get paid because I have put things in place, right? So for me to have to get up off my bed, and at that time, it was every day. When we first started, it was myself, Sharon, and Bruce, Monday to Friday. And then me on Sunday. It was Sharon and I on a Sunday, and then it became me alone. And then they make the change. Let me explain something to you. And people kept calling me to ask me, what happened? What went on? I tell them, the UNC, they couldn't take the jamming. So a memo was sent out a couple of days ago by the management of the Street 919 FM. I come into Kamala just now. She ain't getting away. But I need to speak on this. I'm gonna pull this up. For all here, who, when it is, I was gone, yeah, we done with that. We ain't supporting that radio station no more. And then plenty of went back. No problem. The man had to make money. I ain't not fighting on a black man. But I am saying. But anyway, let me give it to you. So they put out, management of the Street 919 FM sent out a notice or a memo to the staff called the Election Code of Ethics. I want all to listen carefully. Right? Look at the extent to which the UNC has gone. I made the point to you all at the start when we started this live series back in March that the only people talking for the PNM on the airwaves, and I mean on social media and on radio, was on 91.9. It was Sharon, after I left, Sharon, Google, Juliet, and to some extent Aisha. And I said some extent because Aisha, some days you're wondering what really going on, because she used to be allowing certain people to call the station and say some kind of thing, people like Kunji and Kingsley and all of these guys. As I mentioned, Kingsley, I saw him at the meeting last night, so he was playing crutch for Mr. Warner. So there was that. So that was 91.9. On I-95.5, you have Darian Marcel, John Gill, and John Benoit. And then that's the sum total on radio. And then on social media, it was myself, Juliet, sometimes when she would do her lives. And then you had Rhoda Barrett, And basically, that was about it. You don't really have anybody else. So 91.9 put out a memo for their staff entitled Election Code of Ethics for On-Air Staff. And it reads, as we enter the local government election campaign season, I hope this memo finds you well. I, Neil Iwer George, CEO, am writing to reinforce the importance of adhering to the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago Code of Ethics for all talk show hosts. While we recognize that each of you may hold personal political preferences and are members of political parties, effective immediately starting Monday, 24 July, I would like to clarify the guidelines for promoting your supported political parties during your programs. Feel free to highlight and commend the positive initiatives of the political party that you endorse or belong to. Let's big them up and discuss the beneficial aspects, such as local government reform. Additionally, you are encouraged to conduct interviews wherever, or whether in person or via phone, with political representatives, councillors, advisors, and so on. Talk for as long as you want. During the process, however, hear this, please ensure that all advertising commitments are aired on time, and let's enlighten the audience about all of the positive aspects of your supported political party. However, it is important to emphasize that bashing political leaders, members of parliament, councillors, senators, or parties who advertise on this radio station is strictly prohibited during your program. We believe in fostering a respectful and professional environment that promotes constructive discussion rather than negative confrontations. And we ask that you use good judgment when the caller's contribution discredits any political party. So not only are they now seeking to censure the talk show hosts, the hosts have now been given the responsibility to censure the callers. So if you call in and you know you're accustomed calling and you're a PNM supporter and you're accustomed jamming Kamla, or she does something, you want to talk about the meeting and you want to jam the UNC, they're supposed to cut you off. Right? Cut you off, not encourage that. If you wish to discuss a political issue that has come to the public domain, we kindly ask that you seek written approval in advance from Robert Batiste, our esteemed program manager, as well as permission from the relevant media houses if necessary. As journalists, we must strive for balanced programming, especially when we have politicians from other political parties visiting the radio stations for interviews. And I trust each of you to uphold your professional responsibilities and ensure unbiased and impartial conduct during these interactions. Let's continue to uphold the standards of ethical journalism, respecting all viewpoints while promoting positive and informative discussions during the election period. Thank you for your cooperation. Let us make our broadcast a platform that enriches the audience understanding of the political landscape. So in other words, do bad talk Kamla. Do bad talk the UNC. And if anybody is caught bad talking Kamla and the UNC who advertise on this station, who run the program, the Monday Night Forum on this station, and who put in money in your pocket, you will face the consequences. Right? So your responsibility, you are not to promote any discussion that would result in the bashing of the UNC. Because any bashing of PNM taking place there, well, save and except when you have the anti-PNM program, so the Visa Time program that they used to have on a Saturday morning with them the two guys who come in to educate and inform, but needed to educate and inform the blast itself, right? They don't know the ARSE from the elbow about anything, but coming on a Saturday, the purely want to come and talk and sharing information. Really? Well, in an attempt to make it seem as if we're being balanced, and to hide the real reason why they brought this into place. So they say, well, the talk show hosts who are against the PNM or who would run programs in which persons who are against the PNM would call in and bash the PNM, or they're not allowed to do that either. Because we want to give the impression of the balance, because we understand the majority of the listeners to this program and this station are PNM, and we don't want to let on what it is. Well, apparently yesterday, Google, in his program, played 2 clips that management felt ran afoul of that code of ethics that I just read there for you. And he is now suspended for 3 weeks up until the 14th of August. Is that date coincidental? So he's now suspended for the rest of the political campaign. So he's to come back out to work on the 15th of August, the day after the election. So whatever Google's style of running his show is, and the information that he would provide and all of the clips that he would show to tell the people why the UNC is not an option. For the next 3 weeks, will no longer take place, right? So he is suspended. Effective. So it had no program today, and for the next 3 weeks. So he's supposed to come back out on the 15th of August, right? But they can't get rid of Google so easily. Right? Now, if it was me, I tell them, well, your tail, keep your work. But I don't know what Google's financial circumstances. As I said, I could do that. I don't know if he can. But at the end of the day, you see where they have reached? You see the power and the influence that they have? So they're going after now the one radio station where the PNM position and PNM perspectives are most espoused. The station, other than I-95, and that's the two stations, as I said, that the PNM have a presence, that the PNM has a voice, that the PNM has representation. So we know one down. So on that station is now left to Sharon and Juliet. And if it is, Sharon runs afoul of the election code of ethics, like they said Google did. Sharon will also find herself suspended. So then it is left to Juliet. And we know Juliet's style of programming. So I don't know how they're going to navigate that. Right? I don't know how they're going to do it. Because we know what Juliet gives. So we left now with I-95, Darian Marcel, John Benoit, John Gill as 3, and 2 on I-95. You think Robert Amar on 104 putting out any election code like this to tell the underground report with the three stooges, Curly, Larry, and Mo, Dum Dum and Dootish on a Monday morning to Friday morning, right? To tell them, go bash the PNM? No, he ain't doing that because as soon as them come off, he come on and he doing the same thing. So from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock on that station is bash the PNM, bash Rowley, bash the PNM. They like that. So that doesn't go against Telecommunications Authority Code of Ethics, right? But the management of 91.9 want to come and give you this BS to hold to talk about conforming to the Code of Ethics of the Telecommunications Authority, and you can't bash. If it is these people doing nonsense, this is not allegations, this is not hearsay. I am showing you where they said this. I am showing you where they said that. And we are discussing the issue. But they want to call Dr. Rowley a dictator. So now they want to tell you, the listeners, you, the callers, you can't call in and talk about Kamla. Unless you come in to praise Kamla. You can't say nothing bad. Because Kamla and them advertising on the station. And if we allow Wale to do that, well, they're affecting our pocket. Yeah? So, where the PNM know what they're going to do? So even if, and I don't understand it, why would you bring, you're talking about just bring councillors and bring MPs to do interviews. You expect the councillors and the MPs to come and do what? Praise Kamla? Only talk about the good things and not show up the negativity and all of the nastiness that is taking place in the UNC? So of course, you know, I ain't getting none of that. So I stopped listening to that station a long time. Long time, even when I was there. Right? I stopped listening. I come, I do my thing, and I leave. Because, I mean, so they've gone from bad to worse. No substance. But the UNC now has fully infiltrated that radio station. Somehow, let's start going back and listen. But I know I'm curious to see, well, who going to replace Google? I have no idea. But I guess you will find out if it's one of the, if they probably bring the guy who replaced, what's his name? Daily Voice. He might get extra shift. Probably. I don't know. But we'll see how that goes. You can't talk Gary neither to him because Gary's not a political leader. He part of the thing. Yes. Let's see if I get this here. And then, of course, there is the picture. Pictures. See? Let's see this here. Let me get this here. So, hold on, horses. What let's see in there? Huh? What let's see in there? That's last night. That is last night. Let me zoom in for it to see better. In case all you make out. No, that's not Jack. The ball, don't let the ball head full on it. That's not Jack. Okay? Right? Right. And understand the point. Now we don't have Aisha. We don't have Aisha to call out the Red Army as she would normally have done in an election. Who calling out the Red Army now? Huh? All you need to mobilize all yourself for now. Me tell all you that. This election, treat it as if it's a general election for me, please. Because UNC treating it as if it's a general election and they're going all out and they're pulling out, they're not pulling out any stops. Right? So behave all yourself for me, please. Let me get back to, now that I dealt with that, let me deal with Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar. So last night she come and she talk a whole pack of nonsense. Well, I tell her already she quoting scripture and playing, she prostituting the Bible to support her foolishness. Let's see. Right. Yeah. To promote her foolishness and her stand your ground nonsense. So give me 1 second here. What is this? Right. So she playing last night she come and she asked some questions. And I have some questions for Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar too. So one of the things she spoke about last night was she wanted to know, Dr. Rowley, with respect to what's happening in Tobago. So last night she was Farley's advocate, right? She was Farley's attorney last night. So she come to jam Kid Rowley for what Farley say. And all the TTPS is now a mongoose gang for the PNM. Senior police officers are now a mongoose gang for the PNM. So she's now every opportunity she gets, she's attacking the TTPS. I ain't hear Gideon Dixon come out and say nothing to condemn that. So apparently he don't represent the senior officers. Okay. But this is an attack on the police service as a whole. But Mr. Dixon was quick the other day to run out himself when Dr. Rowley spoke about bringing the vetted units, right, and providing them with compensation for persons of integrity and so on. And Mr. Dixon had a lot to say on that matter. But Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, since Farley made his revelation, has been attacking the TTPS, albeit the hierarchy. But nevertheless, an attack on the hierarchy is an attack on the police service because the hierarchy is responsible for the lower levels. And therefore, if it is that you're claiming they're mongoose gang, you are implying that the people under them also engage in it, right? But last night she asking, Dr. Rowley apparently, when he had his press conference to respond to Farley, made mention about Akil Abdullah being some witness, some cooperating witness or something so to in some police investigation. And she wants to know, how the dictator know that? How Keith Rowley know that Akil Abdullah is a witness or some cooperating witness? I can't remember the exact term that she used. But right after that, she says, senior police officers have informed her. Senior police officers have informed her, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, that Dr. Rowley's mongoose gang in the TTPS have been confiscating evidence and files and so on that have to do with some investigation involving Keon Warner with respect to the earlier allegations Farley Augustine made about extortion and so on. You're asking how Keith Rowley find out that Akil Abdullah is a witness or a cooperating witness or whatever in that matter, right? How he find out that? And it's because you're implying is that senior officers giving Rowley information as the head of the National Security Council. You are not the Prime Minister. You are not the head of the National Security Council, right? You are just the leader of the opposition. What the hell senior police officers doing giving you information about an ongoing investigation? What are they doing, right? So if they're giving you that information to tell you what mongoose gang that Dr. Rowley have, taken files and so on, as they continue this investigation, are they giving you information to feed to Farley Augustine so he could know where the investigation is at? Again, I asked the question, why are senior police officers, and she said it on numerous occasions, and like when she catch herself, what she said, senior police officers have told. So she dropped the me. Senior police officers have told. Again, Madam Erla Christopher, why are your senior officers giving Kamla Prasad-Bissessar information with respect to ongoing investigations? Is Kamla Prasad-Bissessar the DPP? Is she the Commissioner of Police? Is she the head of the National Security Council? No. So why, according to her last night on numerous occasions, senior police officers are giving her intimate details of ongoing police investigations of a serious nature involving politicians? She has an issue, want to know how Keith Rowley gets in information and how he know. But she admitted that senior officers, and I want to ask her, are these the same senior officers, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, who gave you information that Marlene McDonald was going to be arrested when you indicated that to Marlene? When you could have been charged with tipping off, and the only reason why you don't have a case before the court today for that matter is because Marlene decided to save your backside. Because that is your friend and she didn't want to send you up the river. But you see, had she changed her mind, or had she been inclined to do what she was supposed to do and tell the police, yes, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar told me that, so you could weed out the corrupt officers who given Kamala information, you would have had a case before the courts, and you would have been another statistic on the UNC's chart of politicians from that party who before the courthouse. Are these the same senior police officers, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, who gave you or Jayanti Lakshmi the confidential memo into the investigation into Foster Cummings? Again, I ask the question, why are senior police officers giving intimate details to Kamala Prasad-Bissessar with respect to high-profile investigations? If she is to be believed, and I believe her, this is the one time I believe what she said. So I hope Earl Christopher would have taken note of that last night, and that by this morning or this afternoon for the latest, you would have some senior officers who will be paying a courtesy call to Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar to make inquiries into that claim. You see, because Mr. Griffith was sitting down in the audience, and as a former commissioner of police, he wants to tell you what is right, what is wrong, and how things are supposed to operate. And if Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar is questioning how Dr. Rowley could be coming into information that should be confidential information that is reserved for the hierarchy of the police and the officers involved in the investigation. So these officers, they mustn't tell the head of the National Security Council, the Prime Minister, anything about the investigation. But she is getting granular details about the investigation. And Motomouth sit down there and they had nothing to say. Now, had it been Dr. Rowley said something like that, right? Bet your bottom dollar. Last night, Motomouth would have done a live, or he would have done a video to talk about how Dr. Rowley and the politicizing, and now the TTPS is an arm of the executive and whatnot, because why are senior police officers reporting to the Prime Minister? That is what we would have been hearing. They took Fitzgerald Hines to task the other day, right? Again, when Mr. Hines, based on who was it what was complaining by? I think it was Saddam Hussein or someone of them, I can't remember. That Mr. Hines made some comment to the effect that some investigation was going on. I can't remember which one it was. But it took Mr. Hines to task because he said that the senior officer or something had not told him, but has now been saying certain things. And it gave the impression that they feed in information from the TTPS to the Minister of National Security. Now, if the Minister of National Security is not supposed to be in possession of information with respect to ongoing investigations, the Prime Minister is not supposed to be in possession of information as the head of the National Security Council, is not supposed to be in possession of information with respect to ongoing investigations. Why is it all right for somebody who is lower down the totem pole on the national security totem pole, the leader of the opposition, why is it okay for her to be getting information from senior police officers? Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar should be the subject of a police interview, right? And if it is that she is not, well, then the TTPS have serious questions to answer. Because if you're calling for Dr. Rowley to answer, you need to answer too. How is it that the UNC is able to get cabinet notes, which are considered to be exempt documents? You cannot file a Freedom of Information request to get a cabinet note because of how secretive those documents are. These are documents that have to deal with national security, government policy, and so on, that is not in the public domain. But ever so often, Prasad-Bissessar come in with cabinet note to put up on the big screen. Where they getting that? How are you getting access to that? When that is the preserve of the cabinet secretariat. How? She ain't had to answer that question. But you want to suspect everybody else. And I continue. She asking questions about, she's saying now that the police, they had time to investigate Fali, but they're not investigating the merit list issue. And let me just touch on that quickly because I'm watching the time. That merit list nonsense. And I made the point before and I will repeat it. Dr. Rowley did not need to intercept any merit list to not select Gary Griffith as the Commissioner of Police. And what the UNC need to do is to educate the sycophantic supporters, right? The clueless supporters who continue to beat that issue like a rented mule. The law is, the merit list comes to the parliament. The government, with the majority, will select who they want from the list. There is no obligation placed on the government to select the first name, the second name, the third name, or any name on that list for that matter. So if it is that the government is of the view that none of the names on this list as sent to us by the Police Service Commission is in our consideration worthy of being the Commissioner of Police, they can scrap the whole damn list and tell them do it over. So there was no obligation. So even if Gary Griffith's name was first on that list, in the same way that that the first three people on the list from which Gary Griffith was chosen were bypassed, Dulal Chan and the rest of them, Harold Phillip and I think Stephen Williams, in the same way that those three people were bypassed and the government went to number 4 on the list and selected Gary Griffith to be Commissioner of Police, even if the merit list wasn't intercepted and it had come to the Parliament, the Prime Minister and the other members of government who would vote for the Commissioner of Police could pretend as if they didn't even see that name and bypass it like a full bus. So if the Prime Minister won, the Prime Minister did not need to intercept any merit list in order to not select Gary Griffith. Understand that. Understand that. So when they come in with this merit list dotish talk about, oh, it's because he wanted to get rid of Gary, and that is why he intercepted the list, and the president pulled it back. Rubbish. All he had to do was to wait for it to come to the Parliament and say, all right, we're not voting for Gary Griffith. Next, who's second on the list? Is this person satisfactory? Yes. Who is that? Ulla Christopher? All right, good. We take in Ulla. Or McDonald Jacob, or whoever it was. So all they miss us with that chopping talk. Now we fed up, see all they post up this nonsense about meritless and meritless, my eye. Understand the process before you all run up on Facebook to comment a set of dotishness. As the saying goes, it's better you all keep quiet and that people think you're a fool than to comment and remove all doubt. And plenty you all need to abide by that from that party. So she came last night with a whole list of investigation, things that she finds should be investigated. So they're not investigating the merit list. And they're not investigating this and not investigating Faris Al-Rawi with the indemnity agreement with Vincent Nelson and all of that. Yeah, well then tell them, well, we know they investigated that. And I will treat with that issue again, not in a not too distant future. The disclosures of Vincent Nelson with all of the money that he paid Ramdean to give to Ram Logan. Why you ain't talk about that? Since we're talking about things that they're not investigating, did they ever investigate the 2 checks for the $8 million that the man who you now embrace and bring back into the UNC told us in 2015 that you got? From Ish and Steve to facilitate Section 34? Did the police investigate that? What about all of the other claims that Jack Warner made about you, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa? You don't want to update on Prison Gate? What is happening with that investigation where 2 UNC attorneys are accused of cutting and pasting witness statement to defraud the citizens of this country of millions of dollars, where allegations are being made that there were appeals of judgments with respect to, again, prisoners, and the prisoner dead, but yet still you have a document showing that they signed approving for these appeals. So man dead, but somehow his signature happened to be on the document. How that happened? You're not concerned about that, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. So you don't want to know if the police investigating that. 9 years now, they investigating Prison Gate. 9 years. In other jurisdictions in the United States, people have committed crimes in 2018 and behind bars. Tried, convicted, and behind bars. But in Trinidad here, 9 years later, we're still investigating 2 lawyers accused of cutting and pasting. Where the DPP, upon seeing what was referenced by the master of the court, said he's of the unflinching view that a crime had been committed. This is the DPP, the man to whom the police would send the file after they do an investigation to say, look, scrutinize and advise us. Can we lay charges here or not? Do you think this is a case that you could win? And the DPP said even before any investigation took place, based on the preliminary, or to use Fali's term, just taking a cursory glance of what was presented to the court by these men, he's of the unflinching view that I could tell or lay charges just based on what I see in here. He was ready to lay charges based on what he was seeing there. And you're telling me 9 years. 9 years, the police can't come to a conclusion in that investigation. 2 lawyers with hardcore evidence, where one of the lawyers actually confessed, stating that the reason why he did what he did was because he was one of the attorneys in the Commission of Inquiry, I think in Las Alturas or something so. One of them big commissions of inquiry that they had. And he was overwhelmed with all of the work having to treat with his private clients, the Commission of Inquiry, and these folks. And he noticed that there were similarities in the claims being made by the by the prisoners. And so therefore, he just lifted the information. The man sent that to the court, and the court rejected it. And yet still, he is out 9 years? Like, can't be serious. But she's not concerned about investigations into that. You want them to investigate Inez Gate and how the Prime Minister and his daughter they got a discount on the townhouses. The Integrity Commission investigated that, madam, with the assistance of the police. And as Dr. Rowley would have indicated a couple of weeks ago, he has been exonerated in the matter. He is in possession of a document from the Integrity Commission telling him the investigation is closed and no wrongdoing has been found on your part. So you want the police to go and reinvestigate again? To find what? Or you want your senior officers who feed in you information to be the ones to go and investigate to find what do exist? I'm just asking you. Why do I ask them to investigate the relationship between a certain contractor from South and the THA and Fali? All the time you're hearing for a whole year and a half, we're hearing all kind of bacchanal taking place in Tobago. But Chaba James, alleged bid rigging, the stage in the sea, and contractors, roofing contractors who have no experience whatsoever in paving road, all of a sudden them getting $1 million contract to pave road. But who is the real contractor behind them? Who is the real contractor behind them? You're not interested to find that out, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar. You don't want the police to investigate that. So you're quiet. All that was taking place in Tobago for the last year and a half. Finger on your lip, your mouth have a zip. You have nothing to say. When Watson made his allegations, call a whole press conference and tell us about Fali coming to Trinidad, collecting bag of money and all of that. You weren't concerned then that Watson Duke said these things about Fali. You had nothing to say. You had on your bosses. Or your ears at that time were suffering from cataract and glaucoma. You didn't hear that. But all of a sudden, Fali come now to make allegations against the PNM and Dr. Rowley. Oh, you hear that? You're lucid. Grey Goose and Forest Park had nothing on you when Fali talking his nonsense. Allegation against the PNM, yes, we will speak about that. But allegations by Watson Duke against Fali and Trevor James and these persons, you and Anele had nothing to say about that. But let Fali only call a press conference and sneeze, and then Robert's ready to do a live on Doubles and Coffee. He ready to do a live on Douglas Politics to come and talk about allegations, and the police need to investigate. And then we supposed to believe you really for country? You said it, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. The reason why the UNC does not contest any seats in Tobago is because you don't think that a party that is entrenched in Trinidad should be running the affairs of Tobago. That's what you say. You are not a national party. You're only interested in the 39 seats in Trinidad. So you're hoping for some kind of accommodation in 2025 because you figure, the PNM going through in Tobago. And like Fali and them go collect them 2 seats. So you know what? Let us not aggravate Fali. So any allegations that are made against Fali Augustine in the use of public monies to create a commerce committee, a propaganda machine, public money that all you always so defending. The PNM want to thief public money, but you're not concerned about public monies being stolen in Tobago. You're not concerned about public monies being used in Tobago for all kind of nefarious activities. You have no comment on that. You have no comment on the audio tape. But Fali come and produce 2 recordings that he claimed he do in which he prompting Akil Abdullah to say certain things. You have plenty to say on that. And people go in and vote for you for that. On the basis of that. Well, listen, let me tell you this something. Boy. People, be warned. Be warned. This election is Kamala's lifeline. If she loses this election, she will have a very slim hold on power. Of course, the supporters of the party will continue to prop her up, right? Because that is the queen, the Maharani. As far as they're concerned, she's the mother of the nation. I love you. All of me loves all of you. And she loves the children and all of that nonsense. Trying to fool all you. You ain't fooling me with that. Miss me with that BS. Please go and hug up your grandchild or your grandchildren. Go on. Anyway, let me not go there. The last time we see Cristiano was when she was prime minister, when they take taxpayers' money to lease a whole jumbo jet to go Brazil, say going and have a meeting with the president, but just around the same time as World Cup. So your grandson went to the World Cup based on taxpayers. on the back of taxpayers. How many other little girl and boy get that opportunity? How many people money come out from the pay that they work hard for the whole month, and when they look at the pay slip at the end of the month, they see how much money come out under PAYE went into paying for you to be able to lease a whole jumbo jet to carry 43 people. A jumbo jet that could hold 150 something people had 43 people on it going to Brazil. And that makes sense. You take out a whole plane out of service, commercial service where it's making money to pay how much, $1 million or $2 million taxpayers' money to lease this plane so you could go and joyride in Brazil with your grandchild. The plane park up on the tarmac, waiting for you when it should be in use, flying, making money between Trinidad and Miami, Trinidad and New York. They park up on the tarmac in Brazil for a whole week, right? And then Caribbean Airlines now have to go and find money to at least another aircraft to be able to service the routes that this plane that park up on the tarmac in Brazil, waiting for you to take you back to Trinidad, should have been doing. But your supporters toting, Rowley buy Mercedes and Rowley buy paintings, but they didn't study the $2 million plus that was spent on that one trip. When you went South Africa to go to Nelson Mandela's funeral, the same Nelson Mandela that Jack Warner wants to liken you to now. Insulting. When it is the same thing you did, whole jumbo jet to go to India so you could bend down and kiss foot. $15 million it cost the citizens of this country for you to do that. You want the police to investigate that? How did we benefit from that 15 million? But your supporters griping and tooting, oh, Rowley this and Rowley that. How much laptop that $15 million could I buy? How much could this government have done with that same $15 million? On that one trip to India, you go on China, jumbo jet. All over the place, jumbo jet. But when Patrick Manning say, let us buy an executive jet, right? For the use of the executive, not just the prime minister, but when ministers have to fly and so on, you could use it. And when the plane, the aircraft is not in use, we can establish an executive jet service at Piarco. So if it is other regional leaders, the prime ministers of Barbados and Grenada and whoever, if they're looking for a private jet because they have to make a trip to the US or wherever, they could come and rent it from us and the jet would pay back for itself. Right? That it could pay back for itself. But I said, nah, Manning just want a jet and Manning this and Manning that. You scrap that. You scrap that. But then come into office as prime minister. You can't fly commercial like Dr. Rowley does. You can't just go and sit down in business class like Dr. Rowley does. Yeah? And just pay the fare, the business class fare. Yeah? Keith Rowley never leased a jumbo jet. Not once since he has been prime minister has he leased a jumbo jet on any of his trips. But that's how you had to travel. You need the whole plane for yourself. When you went South Africa, you decide you are the godmother of the Caribbean. So Caribbean Airlines, you take a plane out of service, right? Taxpayers had to foot that bill, and then you go joyriding from island to island to pick up the prime minister of this country and the prime minister of that country. So all you could go to the funeral at the expense of the Trinidad and Tobago taxpayers. And the only thing it cost these regional leaders, they had to come one by one and sit down and pay obeisance and tell you how grateful they are for this opportunity. How grateful they are that you came and picked them up in this Caribbean Airlines jet. How happy they were that you did that for them at the expense of Trinidad and Tobago taxpayers. But your supporters didn't know about taxpayers' money then. Yes, the footage is there. Leader after leader, they had to line up and come and sit down next to you. And they're recording. Where's his name? Is Gideon Hanuman Singh narrating, and they recording. Yes, Mrs. Prasad says, I just want to tell you how happy I am and how grateful I am for this opportunity you've given us and so on. Yeah. Turn regional leaders into little boys and girls at our expense, our taxpayers' expense. So while you have people stand up on the bus route in the hot sun and pouring rain, flagging down Maxi, you looking to pick up leaders to carry them South Africa to funeral. But your supporters didn't know about that. Or they didn't care. Nah, they didn't care about that. That's all right. I'm telling them, bring you back so we could get more of that. So we could spend another $6-7 million on helicopter rides. When it is that your office is right around the corner from the Prime Minister's residence, that was too much for you. Now, you don't want that. You want to live in the nice house that you and Gregory built because you don't know how long you have above ground. And Prime Minister's residence right around the corner. Your sister and your nephew and your nieces living it up inside it at taxpayers' expense, eating the best, drinking the best, and driving around in official vehicles, while you want to hop in helicopter in the savannah to take you to Philippines. And then the helicopter to come in the morning to pick you up to bring you back. Taxpayers' expense, where your supporters ain't going to talk about that 6 million. No, they ain't know about that. But you were the best prime minister. And according to Gary, the hardest working prime minister it had. And then Jack come in last night to talk nonsense about you were the best prime minister this country ever had. And Gary Griffith was the best commissioner of police, and he was the best minister of works and transport. Really? Really? Well, I'll give you a props, Jack. You were a good minister of works and transport. Right? But all this sort of stupidness all you come with last night. How much votes, if anything, all you lost points for that meeting last night. All you lost votes. All the people who were supporting NTA because they saw the NTA as being something different. I don't know if since Gary hooked up with these people, like he lost it. You talking about this constituency of voters, the 200,000 people who are neither PNM nor UNC and looking for a home, a political home. Well, if they don't support the PNM or support the UNC, why would they support you as a proxy for the UNC? When they see you come and hook up, so it's no different. Nothing different. So I am voting for the UNC, but I will vote for Gary, who is part of the UNC. That making sense to you, right? So you don't turn off all those people already. They see you for what you are. Opportunists. All of us coming together with this accommodation, but I understand I saw in the comments on last night under, I think, Rhoda Barrett post, somebody saying that one of their friends or their family member who was there had big cuss out with certain MPs who not supporting Gary and certain MPs who have an issue with Jack coming back because they see that as upsetting their plans to take over the party. So they have a problem now with Jack coming back into the fold. So not everybody in the UNC supporting Jack is back. Plenty of them, not for that. Plenty of them not supporting Gary either. Good morning, Jolene John. Good morning, David Nakid. But all ain't gonna say nothing, right? But they're doing things to make it clear, to make it evident. Notice Jolene John didn't talk about Gary last night. She talked about NTA, but she ain't bringing up Gary at all. You saw the expression on her face when she ended her speech? She wasn't pleased, but you come with all this sort of big talk and gun talk. Well, ain't fooling nobody. That accommodation is simply for the election, and after it don't start to fall apart at the seams already. You see, last night when Gary ain't get to talk there, you know his ego. He taught him. He taught him because he prepared a speech. Come up in Center Excellence, prepared to show up everybody. Yes, he come to talk. Big up. NTA massive. NTA nothing. Gary nothing. You had to sit down last night, and the threesome turns into a twosome. You know what they remind me of? I remember Andrea Barath when they had the candlelight vigil, the 9-night candlelight vigil for her, and it ended the night in Woodford Square. And the Trini Avengers came together in Shan Ishmael, Philip, Edward Alexander, and Ian Allen. The Trini Avengers. Yes, from tonight, coming together. We're going to start this movement and we're going to go after this government and all of that. That Trini Avengers didn't last as long as the Red House fire. First man to pull out, Ian Allen. And then the next thing was Philip, and then was left Philip. So they went from a threesome, but like Ian Allen, like he couldn't make. Yeah, he couldn't handle the winery. Yeah, too much. So he pulled out early. And then there were two. And then the two of them mash up. Trini Avengers. Same thing you have here. Gary, Jack, Kamala. Kamala not interested in the two of them, you know, because she knows Gary Griffith's ambitions. You really feel she going and allow Gary Griffith to come and upstage her and take over leadership of the party? The man keeps saying he is the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. She's saying she is the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. How that happening? How the two of you could be the Prime Minister, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago? When he was interviewed the other day on I-95.5, the barbershop, every time John Benoit say, if you become Prime Minister, God forbid, he said, I will become Prime Minister. I will be the next Prime Minister. So how that working, Gary? Is it that you all plan to change the system so you will have a Prime Minister and a Deputy Prime Minister? Or is it that you plan to take over the UNC and Kamala have different plans? We're confused. Only let us know now. Let us know. We in the PNM, we're not concerned. that Ole Bacchanal do affect us. We just have to do what we need to do. Ensure that our people come out, our supporters come out on election day and do what it is they have to do. Listen, people only getting 2 hours off from work to vote. It ain't taking you that long to cast your ballot. Oh gosh, man. Don't thief the people time now. Even if it take you half an hour to go and vote, you could go early in the morning, cast your ballot early, and then go to work. You get your 2 hours off, you could do whatever it is you want in your 2 hours. But just go and cast your ballot. Because I demonstrated to you all the lengths to which the UNC is prepared to go. They are seeking to silence PNM. And you see, this is why I'm so happy I'm not on that radio station anymore now. I am so happy I'm not on that station anymore. Because they couldn't muzzle me. I would have tell Iowa, Ayo Pancho. It was nice. But you're not muzzling me. The hell was that? I don't know how Sharon making out. I don't know how Juliet making out. It'd be interesting to see. But we warned. Those say Ole wasn't warned there. So they're doing it. Google is silent for the next 3 weeks. Okay? Well, you know, they know better than to go wrong Darren Marcel with that this. They know better than that. Darren not having it, John Benoit not having it, and Gil not having it. The 3 of them. So it's just left to be seen what's going to happen with Sharon now and what's going to happen with Juliet. But Juliet does not want to be muzzled either. The last station, gone to the dogs. Telling all it. So just remember, don't go and write up Sharon tomorrow and then, you know what happen. Next thing she get a suspension letter to it. And then, because then there will be 1. So it'll just be 3, I-95 and 1, 4 people talking PNM talk for going in the lead up to the election, right? So, that's the time there, boy, Lord Father. Let me open the lines. I wanted to beat up on Kamala somewhere, but I will probably save that for tonight on real issues. Let me turn this thing on. Yes. 770-1763. Hold on, Jen. Give me 1 second. Let me just connect this thing here. Oh, boy. Just now. Hold on, folks. Give me 1 second. Let me just connect this device here. Right, that should do the trick there. One thing we're doing now, just to make this. Right. Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic. Morning to all those who tuning to YouTube and on Facebook. When I watched the coming together of Jack Warner, Gary Griffith, and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, there's one thing that stood out to me: desperate and pathetic.
Correct.
Politically, they are desperate because Kamala Persad-Bissessar has realized that she's on the back foot. So she's bringing Jack, I guess, to garner that kind of support. But when you look at Jack Warner, my father has said long time, they're afraid to lie down. That's just a talk,
Yes.
That's how they're looking politically. They're afraid to lie down politically because Jack can't bring anything to the UNC. I suspect, in my opinion, that Jack Warner is aligning himself with them because of the Privy Council ruling where they have cleared the way for him to be extradited. And he's putting up a challenge again in the court. And I think it's all about that, trying to make sure that if this should get into office, that he'll be safe. But he must remember they had locked him up one time under Gavin Nicholas, when Gavin Nicholas get the 5 days or 10 days as the Attorney General under the same Kamala Persad-Bissessar. 2, we have to understand something again. The work that all have been putting on in defense or being on the offensive with the People's National Movement, all the persons on Facebook who put in all the information, all those on all the social media platform, yourself, Miss Davy, Miss Felix, this guy, Pastor Google, even Darian Marcel, John Gill, John Ben, all, it is having a serious impact. And the UNC is running scared. That situation happened to Pastor Google. It tells you a lot, and it tells you a lot where that radio station is at. And it's a sad thing because we always like to speak about black and black ownership. And it's like it is sad to see when you're black and you're in that leadership position, that type of decision that you make that is detrimental for your business and all, because at the end of the day, it's the callers who does bring the advertisers. Because without callers, advertisers are not going to advertise. And when you behave like that, you can create a situation where callers don't even want to call you. And you can lose business by that. Because politically, you can't exist politically through all years. It's usually around election time. But what about when you're not in election time? What is going to happen then? You're going to get funding then? I don't know how it's going to work, but we have to not be deterred and find all avenues to continue to show what is local government reform, continue to compare and contrast Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, the PNM, and the UNC, Gary Griffith, PDP, and whoever again. We cannot be distracted. We have to keep pressing on, and we will do the work because we know how important that this is for our country and the country as a whole, for all races, all ethnic groups, because at the end of the day, PNM is people-centered, national. It's a national party for all. It's a movement of all peoples. So I will just continue doing what I have to do. Once y'all give me that strength, I will do it. And I know you would continue, and all the other warriors would continue to do what we need to do to make sure that the UNC and all the pretenders are not returned or see the corridors of power in this country. You have a blessed one, God.
You too.
And everyone, Doctor.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
How are you today?
I am very good.
Yeah, okay. Good program. We'll only fight. Dominic, I know getting yesterday of the information that they bring at hand about the gentleman, Mr. Google.
Mm-hmm.
That is news to me, and I'm very shaken and shocked about it. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because I have been looking at that manager with a cookie eye for a while now. I was surprised that he was on the PNM pulpit some weeks ago. So I tell myself, okay. But like I said, everything is about money now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about money, and hear what it is. Whether we like it or not, I think that this party, I think it's time for the longest while since people been talking about this in Mr. Manning days. It is time for the party to get its own radio station and the TV station. That is the way to go. And I don't know what the higher are afraid of. It is time for the party to get their own TV show and radio station, PNM owned. What I saw last night at that meeting, nothing of substance came out of it. It's just dinosaurs just popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dominic, like again, I want to tell me about the repercussion, right? If a gentleman or individual is wanted by authorities abroad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you go on a political pulpit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what are the repercussions, because I don't think it's only Trinidadians alone watching that forum, right? It would have other people watching from the embassies and them, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And even CARICOM leaders, because some of them remember the situation with the Haitians and them.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
So tell me what is the repercussion of that? Because apparently certain people don't seem to understand that once you're associated with that man, we have the risk of being blacklisted for certain things, correct? You could get blacklisted again, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on the government's efforts to extradite, and certainly the government has been doing what they need to.
Right, because Dr. Rowley made some improvement with the visas and then with Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody from the Canadian embassy wants somebody from the United States embassy, see all this thing going on and see actionable wanted by international people abroad, going a political pulpit. You think that gentleman, not only gentleman will be in trouble, the country and perhaps that political party he's aligning might be in trouble too.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that person going up for prime minister, I think she might be in problems too.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's associated and taking big photos of Dominic Texas, I don't know, but like you won't send that to Trinidadians have, like we just move stupid.
Yes.
So I will listen of what the repercussion piece. And by the way, the lady who's going up for one of the seats in Dogomaten, has she behaved herself like that?
Which
she
lady?
Got trimmed down?
Which lady is this? Marsha?
The one who went up. Yeah. Is she going to trim down or cheating? Because if it's too much for her, it's better she better give up the seat and let the PM win the seat by default.
Well, I see she put out a post yesterday earlier on her Facebook page. Blind loyalty on any side is dangerous for the country, and she has any in capital letters. So.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
Also, okay now. Well,
yes.
What I can tell Ms. Walker, you know, if I can handle it, take your time, take it back, and go and just let you see one win by default. And I think Ms. Carol should still look at her so-called local candidates going up because there's a set of con-actors, criminals, people with certain sexual deviances, and for some reason the media also not investigating them at all. So have a good day, yes?
Thank you.
Now let's talk about the question going on, right? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, bro.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, Tom. Listen, you see, what we had to realize, and like you correctly say, Sister Jen said before, is that this is a seminal election.
Yes.
Right? What the forces aligned against the PNM are trying to do is to we are waking the ghost of local elections in 1983, hoping for a gong cell of what happened back then. And incidentally, I think that is when Ms. Bissessa made her first foray into politics. Right? I think she was a local government councillor in the Superior County Council when that took place.
Yes.
I may be wrong. I know I could be corrected by Professor Yates and Professor Chance. But what I'm saying is that the disappointing thing for me, sir, that they pointed out the role of Mr. Neil Iwer George. And what I'm saying, you know, the little Mbala Joseph used to say, another N for sale. And that is exactly what is happening. And that is happening because of the fact that as people clutching at straws, they're realizing that the writing is on the wall. You understand? And they no longer have any currency in the areas that they feel they had it. You know, I'm saying that somebody I'm sure who was looking on at the observance is very interested is the Attorney General of the United States, Justice Merrick Garland. And we're looking on with great interest.
Yes.
And I'm saying that people had to understand what's going on. If this is just a local government, and this is the effort that these people putting out, not looking at the issue of the seminal core issue of what the election is about, and they're going back to all these dead horse, right? To try to give them some capital politically. But that is, and I wonder, for me, at least Philip Edward Alexander, irrelevant as he is, at least he win it by himself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I take the shot to another French party. But at least he has the confidence to say, hey, I'm not getting mixed up in that. Right? If I want to present myself as a credible alternative to the PNM administration, I'm doing it. But here you are, Mr. Griffith. I call him the man who wants to be the first ever prime missioner of a country, because he can't make up his mind what he wants to be. Whether he wants to be prime minister or commissioner. So he's a hybrid prime missioner. That is what he wants to be. And you know, when you see as you pointed out, where he was and where he positioned himself and what happened to him last night, I would have feel smaller than a little boy in the back of the church who is late.
Yes.
Because if you're holding yourself out as a leader and as an alternative to what is there, the man you're calling a dictator, and you're going back in bed with the woman who you said routinely had 5-day weekends, brother. Come on. That's what I'm saying. But for me, I am just saying that people just have to stay steadfast and look at the issue. I mean, I didn't watch the proceedings, but I just watched from what you would have shared with us this morning. I had no intention of listening to nothing they had to say or engaging with anybody in a yellow jersey. Sorry. Or any of the constituent people who going around with them. People stay focused, and be the guardians on the wall. Because we need it right now. It's sad to see what is happening in your former radio home, but I am not surprised. I am not surprised because Mr. Mbala said it. End for sale. And once you are end for sale, that is the enemy, sir. They always take people like ourselves to divide us and bring us down. Because say, brother, locked on and listening.
Thank you,
good
sir.
Program as usual.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Stay focused, people. See. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, all right. Are you hearing anything in the weekend about rubbish, real rubbish. And I'm looking around in the we just get those snippets last night and then
yes.
Put some of the news thing in because I expected that nothing else. And you forget to add that Ms. Kamala Prasad Sesha and the Gaja they went down there with the police officers and them and who get what they get special allowances or whatever. But that has come out. We will talk about that. Now, them fellas and them sort of mixed issues.
Yes.
So when she asking about Dr. Rowley's interference with the case, we are trying to break down case. I just want to let them know. In the years that I have known CNN, I have never seen a CNN government operate something like that. I've seen it in UNC, but I've never seen it operate like that. That I'm Dr. Rowley with the 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. He never tried anything like that. He said that he did it. And then if you want to use them, they still like to beat up on the emails and emails. Yes, the email, but we talk about the content of the email because that is where the message really was. So when they come to try to tell you about email, there's a reason for that because it's a whistleblower and you have to protect the whistleblower. If you know that, with the inheritance that you protecting the whistleblowers, nothing like that exists in law, nothing like that exists no way, but we still seeing that. And she's saying the green man is back. I know when Piper sees the green man, it's because when they have an overdose.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm not I don't know. I don't know how people could follow him. See, this lady, something is wrong, and I have been saying it too. And these people, Kamala do have a family, boy. Somebody they say, Granny or Auntie, come, give it up, pack up shop and come and relax and thing because I think God forbid, and I'm not crying, calling this on the lady, because it's alive. At the end of it, it's alive that he was. But Miss Kamala Prasad is such a more I see people come out saying more and more looking more sick. Think about yourself. You cannot be in this kind of thing. This is hard work. Dr. William Patrick Manning and them have said that. And then you have the next one telling us about his bags on their guys. Brother man, let me tell you something. If you got bag on their eyes, it's not that point. You have 4 o'clock in the morning. You and Kamala just 4 o'clock. She will get at 4 o'clock in the morning to start work and everything. And we start work at 4 o'clock in the morning. A few minutes later, we're talking about the 5-day weekend. I mean, and then, don't make it so bad and so embarrassing, but he challenges Dr. Rowley to take a lie detector test. Because here's my document here. I took a lie detector test. Take a lie detector test. That's why I'm saying Gary would have to take a lie detector test if he wants to be the police commissioner, part of the job with the police and those things. They had to take that. So you take that from a long time and the questions would ask you things. But if you have to take a lie detector test, it says that you get 4 o'clock in the morning and Kamala gets up 4 o'clock in the morning. You're lying. So in other words, you lose the doctoral because it's didn't start yet because you're lying. But everybody knows that you're lying. This is not what we see in Kamala Prasad Sector. Kamala Prasad Sector as the opposition leaders are absent. He does not come to pay your rest. He has to. You know, so I mean, only come on. What is it that NCA and UNC and the ILC who, for some reason, one man ILC just pick up that ILC doesn't shake it off for me. I don't put it on back. What does they have to offer for local government reform? Because this is what we're talking about. When general elections come down, somebody else the other week for that. What all you have to offer? They're not telling me what they have to offer. So far, the package, the best package is the PNM package, because at the end of the day, it's about me. It's about me. It's about my neighborhood, my family, everybody. You're going to make things better for you. And the UNC supporters and all your area, all you have to make sure that all your concerned get the job done. They no longer stand up to telling all the central government is giving us money. And when they tell all that, you only hear who partner get contract and how they start out money from this and who gets thing and this one get that and who gets any money that comes go to police and arrest him and all that nonsense has to stop. All you have to get right serious, and this UNC is not the right party to run this country. You only have to think about all this stuff, because when they get into government, they're thinking about themselves. You know, who come, man who can buy double become millionaires. That same man, he's well racketed EMB, but for some reason, he went into that landslide. How they could put back somebody who are all after the baggage and he and Jack is basically the same boat. So how they put him back? And then Jack Warner. I can't see Jack Warner governing me in governance. How is going to deal with the United States? If the United, okay, you had all these big dignitaries and government officials from the United States came down here and you could see Jack Warner sit down in a meeting in a room around these people. They wouldn't even want to be close to me. How are we going to deal with that? So all you have to say, you come out to put back fellas like Gary, who have a gun audit to answer for. Just now, when it's finished, you have a serious question to answer for. The man who call it cockroaches, the man who when we see him, police officers will feel so empowered because one shot, one kill to gun down innocent people, because these people were innocent. They had no firearms, no nothing on them. We see it with the own eyes. These people them came out of the car with hands in the air and the police and then gun them down. Not blaming them police and them to the leadership who tell you one shot, one kill and no tolerance and cockroaches. When we start to put that in your thing, them first get empowered and present to do them things. And this is all some of the things that man had to answer for. And then he walking around in them areas and them are talking about he comes to help them and all kinds. Go very well and say, man, Gary telling you that now he's packing up all the things to ensure that someone in family get to be an older man. This is not about all your boys. All you have to just see us with the thing they do, let him say, he go down in the white people place and then there, he tell the Prime Minister, oh, he's trying to tell me to lock up the people and then, I don't think you're telling also, don't listen to the Prime Minister. All the Prime Minister said is that he expects the Commissioner of Police to apply the pandemic law across the board. And he's going up done earlier, and then I'm looking at people and running people from the private party. But the private party, rich people play, they can have it, and he wants to cut the Prime Minister because the Prime Minister is telling him to apply the law across the board. This man should come and run, lead me as a leader. That is leadership skills. Oh, let's come on, boy. Oh, let's wake up, you know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just took a peep there on the Street 919 FM, and I see, well, they are attempting to defend what Google's suspension. Boy. Hello, good morning. Morning, caller.
Hello.
Hi, morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I'm not telling you how to run the show, but that guy who's talking there, he's supposed to have a program for himself. Oh gosh, they don't have a conscience for people. Come on. You understand? You can't be taking up all that time that other people want to come in. You understand? Because they have a little conscience, man. I want to know what 91, that's not 91.49.
Yes.
When you have nobody listening to them. Right? And money is not all. What I want to know, money is not all. With Nico Sostelo.
Yes.
I want to know that. He's not all. And after the election, see how much advertisement he will get from them. Come on, you Muslim people.
Yes.
How long that happen? Election, after election, people will be talking and saying what they want. As long as they're not disrespectful and they want to be Muslim people.
Yes.
Come on, Ira George. Do better than that. Don't be fooled about this morning, Dominic.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
That's not the tablet here.
Yeah, what?
Right.
The tablet is there?
But I have a tablet, I have my laptop.
No, I thought it was a blood pressure tablet. Because you're like you commit to run up your pressure.
I know how them thing. I know some of them thing. I was saying morning to all the listeners and the viewers here now. Dominic, I want to know. All my years I live in this country, born here, grew up here, living here. I never see that our political landscape in this country will reach at this level. You mean to tell me all that hype yesterday for Jack Warner to come and say, or that bombshell to drop? Well, I still waiting for the bombshell from what I saw last night. It was only smoke. Because that man ain't make no sense. He have no relevance whatsoever. Jack Warner is a dead horse. Jack Warner is a dead horse. Kamala and them went in the political cemetery to resurrect Jack. You come to make what? And then you don't give up Vex last night? How could you watch my member of parliament for Lupino Boneves after the quotas he get in 2020? I wanted to change the gender of my MP. You're out of timing. And I know that my MP, Marvin Gonzalez, is going to come tomorrow night on the platform in Arima. And I know he's going to level some bois behind Jack Warner. I have a feeling he will be on that platform tomorrow night. You understand? Don't come with all that narrative for a big old man like you, taking the same hymn book like that Canal Kongs and saying about pimp, Stuart Young small pin, straight pin, couple pin, whatever pin. How will you know the man pin small or they'll be in the man bedroom or what? Then you can have got up politics that these people like. Nothing of substance, nothing. You understand? And to pass on Google, you see, that was expected, that was coming. You understand? Because remember, when they did you the same thing, and I went and take them out to task, and this nastiness who they know on the station, trying to denigrate my character and my personality and my job. Because why? At the end of the day, when it's not what you're doing, it's how you do it. You understand? And Ira George is a nasty, dirty dog. Because you know why? Google was there with you. I can remember, and people could on the live could vouch for me and remember when Google used to work in that station after hours in the morning from 12 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
When he's at the overnight shifts, Google used to sleep in our station. You understand? And look today, because for a few dollars that the UNC hierarchy is alleged paying you to muzzle all them P&M announcers on your station. But I know Juliet will defend herself. I know Juliet in business. You understand? Juliet and Mr. Rugal, they will spit venom behind Iowa and in business. You know what I'm studying for? Sharon. Because Sharon had to know
Patricia Chris. You understand? Sharon Patricia Chris now. So it's unfortunate that the same period that you trying to muzzle somebody, right, for end clips that would have played on an interview 2 days prior to what you do yesterday, to come and tell the man, oh, he breached what code of ethics. Look where you are, 104.7, 106.5, 106.1. All them other stations who don't have the worst to say about African people and the prime minister in this country. You don't hear them talk about code of ethics. You know why? Because they could have do it. But I was just coming to play the ass on his station and try to make it look how they were balanced. We all know that I was just a blasted UNC. I was over there at UNC and playing PNM. And I am calling on Dr. Rowley and the PNM that do not entertain that person in any political meeting relative to anything PNM has to do. Do not invite Iowa George to no event, right? Whatever they have in the PNM, because he's not a genuine person. He's a nasty, deceitful person. Dominic, a long-term good program.
Thank you. Oh boy, just looking at this pathetic attempt here to defend. Right? No other radio station ain't talking that so, but as the man say, if people advertising on the radio station, yeah, to protect the purse, the coin. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. 720.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir. Got it? Listen on the phone, caller. All right. 720. Yeah. You need to take down your radio, or well, not your radio, but whatever device you're listening on. And just listen on the phone. See here. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. 720, listen on your phone. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir. I don't know what's going on.
How are you?
I am good, sir.
Good. Morning to your listeners and callers. Well, Dominic, for a few dollars more.
Isn't there a Western with that name?
Yes, that's a Western. For a few dollars more, Dominic Rubin. And the question is, who to get gunned down next by Dominic Boy? One down. 2 down. Who next? Dominic,
Yeah.
I stay up last night to listen to this bomb that was supposed to be dropped by Fugitive Jack. I tell myself Fugitive Jack going to drop a bomb, and I sit down waiting, and I see the crowd. I say, hey, a nice crowd in and no wonder they couldn't hold the TIC convention there at all. Because they wanted that area there to hold all these people.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited for Fugitive Jack to come on, and then I say, well, after when I see he come on, I say, what, he come on before Gary?
Mm-hmm.
I say, all right, okay, let's wait and see. It's gonna be a late night tonight, but when Fugitive Jack come on, I started to talk about small pin and ticket for your wife and your stepdaughter. I said, what is this about? I said, this is the bomb? This is the bomb that all these media houses and all of these talk show hosts are all over the place on television and all was talking about, and all of the papers was talking about. This is the bomb? Well, boy, I was just a little bit of smoke. But you see, I want people to understand where the dictatorship is.
You understand? Look and see what the dictatorship is. And if they only have a little bit of money now, if they get back into power, what they will do with the treasury and who will be sidelined and who will go missing. And when I say missing, I don't mean killed. I mean who will just no longer be at certain places where they're working. And this is the fear that is being driven. Even if not seeing it now. Even if not seeing 2010 to 2015 all over again. But then it don't make sense. And we have to understand something. We have a job to do. And we have to put them into place. And we have to ensure that we come out and vote and treat this like a general election. You understand? Because Gary must feel like a two-cent piece waiting to come on the stage. Because he had a big 89%, 89% of 35 is 31 point something. So he had 31 seats. You understand? And I see popularity right there.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets licked last and he was put in his place last night. Hey, you ain't gonna be no prime minister, you ain't gonna be nothing unless I say what you will be. And that is what was done to him last night, to put him in his place and give him a dose of reality. Hey, you, little boy, you stay right there and you cool it. That's my stage. What's the yellow? You understand?
Hmm.
So you got a dose of reality last night. Good? And this is what we have to look at, people of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to, regardless of whoever they get rid of, take that, put it in your notebook, and wait for the 14th, and make sure you get everybody up and say, this is a general election, I am going to vote. And make sure the UNC get absolutely no foothold and lose corporations. And send that message, because all what this honorable Prime Minister and this government has done today to help this country and to bring this country back into a positive state from all of the rating agencies, that will go to naught. And the lies are going to come again, and they're going to make all you feel like if everything is handy-dandy, and it will be not, and we will be in the throes of the IMF. And this time it will be for good. There are approximately 10 Caribbean countries in the throes of the IMF today. We are not one of them. Kamla Prasad, the Cesar, and they don't care about this country. It is all about power. It is about money and about helping their friends. We have a job to do. Pastor Google is just another one of those who has been taken out of the challenge because they are running scared. Don't mind know what Khadija Amin say about PNM. PNM are running scared. We're not afraid to lose. But they are very mortally afraid of the PNM. And they know it. But it's a crying shame, an unadulterated shame. And it is evident for all to see. Because I too just switched on to the other station and I could see them attempting to explain away. You understand? The what do you call it? The instruction that was sent to the various to that particular station. And they're going to explain it away. But they can't do it because we're not stupid. And we understand. And we have to be mindful. And we have to be careful. And we have to do what we need to do. And we have to watch it. Don't forget to vote. It is important for two reasons. Local government reform and to send a clear message to the UNC and the cohorts. Because I can tell you, come September, we will then see the true effects of what this election is going to do to the UNC. And Kamla Prasad, etc. Send them home permanently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Morning.
Morning.
Just saying morning from the Republic of Lebanon. Just going to say good morning.
Good morning, Your Excellency. Is that billboard still up there with the 25%? Hello?
Yeah, the big thing. You've seen that from the... Yeah, you've seen it totally from the bypass.
Oh. These people are easier. Wow, boy.
Where's the noise?
Morning, Marissa.
All right, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, that was in reference, of course, to apparently they have up a huge billboard in Taruba claiming that the PNM bring in the inheritance tax, despite the fact the Minister of Finance has said that that is not so, the Prime Minister has said that that is not so, and Mrs. Prasad Bisesa up to now has not been able to bring any form of documentary evidence to support that claim, but her supporters running with that. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello, good morning. 720, go ahead. I don't know what's happening there. Hello, morning.
Yes, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I just want to pull out on this. I was just saying that I may not be pleased with what he is doing, but since it's his own, and I think that is censoring the media.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is right. This is there's nothing wrong in what he do in terms of by law, but by moral, that is wrong. And if Iowa wants to do it, so be it. And if you're going to call to complain about Iowa, or you want to call and complain about who stays along on the phone or something, and I don't get those programmers, take your own advice. Because basically, at the end of the day, let the moderator be the judge of that. You can be calling to tell people who should stay along and say that your contribution is about it limited and they serve the actual conversation that is doing. Because what we are doing here, we are bringing all these information based on actual events with, of course, facts, to educate people who are listening, who can understand, because we are being fooled by people telling us all the things they're telling me. How come Jack Warner could be this big savior whoever interested because of that? He was Tamara Prasad Bisesa and also they have left a legacy. They know the footprint in the sand. I know what Gary does. Gary got a perfect opportunity to redeem himself, and you saw what he did. So he could come now and try to you. Yeah, because he said he wants to be prime minister. To do what? To finish, get rid of all the cockroaches. Come on, man. Let me talk about that. Don't talk about people for the position. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello. 636, go ahead.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
You hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Dominic, last night was a UNC showdown and hoedown. We as big people, head down. If that is what they call a threesome, well, they discard Gary like a used condom. Now, Uncle Jack is the UNC Viagra. Or you're just putting manure in a dead UNC plant. You talk about elder abuse, Gary and Jack taking a cookie or coke on an old woman back. And as always say, no wonder the letters UNC is in the middle of the word dunce.
Thank you, sir. That's it. They describe Gary like a used condom. Hello, good morning. Hello, morning. Hello? 720, you can go ahead. I don't know, 720. I don't know what's going on there. I'm confused. I could probably take one more call. Eric says, Uncle, just kill me. The man is come good, he good. But don't tell Gary that, eh? I don't know the man's emotions are very close to his skin, and yeah. But that is an apt description of what happened last night. And let me see what. Just now, come on 1 second. Let me see if he posts up anything. All right. Now the flyer that they put up clearly said here, local government election 2023 joint meeting with UNC political leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Monday 24th July 2023, Center of Excellence, and under they have address by NTA political leader Gary Griffith, 7 p.m. Gary Griffith did not speak last night. Possible. So let me get it here. Hello, good morning.
Yes, Dominic.
Yes.
Dominic, I noticed that at all. Can I just say that? Because I noticed that why did you allow Gary Griffith to speak? And he's the second in command at the party, the NTA. So I find that person showing also. I noticed that the person who's supposed to succeed Kamla Prasad Bisesa is visibly missing.
Who is this?
Along with other MPs. Hello?
Who is this?
Is somebody like that? Was he there?
Yeah, he was there. He's in the picture with Jack and them in the back.
Oh, he was there?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess like I say, they're just full of their own moment. You can't have anything to say about them.
Very much so.
Strange bedfellows, Dominic. Interesting times. But Dominic, like I said again, we were on the default.
Yes.
If people not, like I said, the other radio talk shows, if they're not too comfortable with that particular radio station, I think you and them should get together and make something, do some kind of something new. Because I heard everything is about money. Okay? Everything is about money. That is how I see it. I'm too disappointed in that individual who won that radio station.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you. Right. So it's now 9:05. So I guess that's it for this morning, folks. Let me go and see what is happening for later on the real issues. I have to follow up with my guest for this evening. So don't forget to tune in 8 p.m. on Synergy TV, where we continue the discussion. Well, I guess it's left to be seen who will be filling in for Google today on his slot and what the discussion is going to be. I took a peep yesterday evening. The discussion was about fish, the different kinds of fish, Nakan and TC, and the kind of fishes they eat long time. And that's what that station has come to. Okay. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. It's supposed to be a rainy one, I think. So keep safe, keep dry, and we will have very good. And this evening, and we will continue our discussion. I'm not too sure what happened on Tuesday morning yet, so if all I don't see on Tuesday morning, please forgive me. But Tuesday, Wednesday, reaching home after 11 o'clock and all that, I'll be a little sleepy. But I will try my best to see if we could still do a live on Tuesday, depending on how things play out. What are the developments today going forward? Yeah, so have a good one, and we will chat tonight and then on Thursday, tomorrow night. I think the PNM is having a meeting tomorrow night in Arima. Tomorrow night a meeting in Arima. There's a youth conference this evening in Sipari, I think it is, somewhere down on that side. Foster Cummins, Nian Gatsby Dolly, and others. And I think there's another PNM meeting on Saturday. So come out in your numbers, people. Vote. You see what the UNC are doing? They're trying to muzzle the PNM. We're supposed to be running scared, but it seems they are the ones who are running scared and trying to silence people so that the truth wouldn't come out, that waste of time party that they are. They offer nothing of substance to Trinidad and Tobago. All they're talking about is general election issues. The supporters know nothing about local government reform, what the new system is going to look like. Ask any of them. When it is that the candidates come around to talk to you, ask them, what will the new council look like? How it will be made up? Ask them these questions. Because they go in and they're like deer in headlights, right? They have no idea how they're going to function. All they know, they want to be councillor. What it means to be a councillor, what your functions and role are, nothing they don't know. Because the party not talking about that. When you're talking about stand your ground and Rowley and Imbut, come on. Really? Let's remember, it's only on the PNM platform you will hear local government in its entirety, the granular details. All right? So, folks, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and we will chat again later this evening. God willing. Yeah? I'm out.